Yes, guys, you know what time is it? Your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you the season review. And boy, have we got some guests lined up for you today. Of course, as always, we are joined by the co-host Jack Kanicki. In the background, we do have Philip Marcello, Spurs Talk Show, waiting. We're just going to welcome you all here in here in the chat, and we'll get them on and we'll get into it. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Doing pretty well, Dave. Nice little Sunday afternoon. I guess all of the football, for the most part, in the world has more or less ended. Now it's just time to, crack into the transfers, kind of think about this end of the season, and then move on from there. But yeah, Dave, doing pretty well. Looking forward to what the Harris Army has to say. I bet there are going to be a few parts that I definitely haven't thought about. Maybe a few anecdotes that people might have. It's definitely going to be maybe some laughs. Who knows? Maybe people will have some heartfelt, rants about people, maybe a few tears. Who knows, Dave? Looking forward to it, though. Oh. Well, looks like Dave's screen is still frozen unless people can still hear me. Could people still hear me at this moment in time?
Am I back? 1, 2, 1, 2.
You're a little choppy. I think you just kind of froze there, Dave. Maybe just try again. Keep going, though.
Yeah, so basically, I must tell everybody, must stress, it's from we're taking the whole season into account from the very beginning, from the Harry Kane saga to Nuno, all the way right through. And we've got some guests to help us get through it. But we will start flying through the comments, welcoming some of the viewers. We got Moondog. Good evening, lads. Big up, Moondog. I hope you're keeping well, buddy. Good to see you in. Same as you, Mick Hermalock. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Mike. Dermot's in the building, ladies and gentlemen, live from Ireland. With a hard season at an end, we can now look forward to next season. But okay, one thing left to say. Let's get ready to rumble. He says, in the green and orange corner, he's live from Kildare, Ireland. He's the biggest Spurs and Ireland fan in the world. Here he is, David Harry Kane, Irish Hotspur. Live from Brooklyn, New York, home of Iron Mike Tyson. He is the biggest stats man around in Carlsberg, Dave. Stats, he would probably be the best stats man in the world. Jack's son, stats man Kanicki. And to all the panel, you are all YouTube legends. Hope you all have a great summer. Let's get this top 4 party started. Woo! Big up, Dermot. As you can see in the title, from Europa Conference League to Champions League. That's the journey we've been on. Big up, Dermotron. I can't say the Dermotron without doing the robot, my man. Big yourself up, buddy. We've got Adam Sears. We'll just call you Adam. I don't have a clue how to pronounce that last name, so we're just going to call you Adam. And he says, evening all. Big up, Adam. Good to see you. We've got the hottest Spur. He says, good evening. Come on, you Spurs. Big up the hottest Spur. Rob Coyne off work tomorrow, getting pissed. Big up, guys. Well,
big up, Rob.
Enjoy it, my man. Hopefully we can have a bit of crack with you throughout the stream. Get your session started. Neil Shafton says, sun is shining. United are already circling the drain and nothing but clear blue skies and transfers are plenty. Absolutely love it. I haven't a clue what MTGA stands for, my man. Maybe let us know. We've got Caveman. Here we go. Absolutely love it. Big up, Caveman. Good to see you. Good evening, everyone. Seems like we are actually doing business early for once. Come on, you Spurs. And that's the regular. It does look like things are starting to maybe change. The steps are there. We just hope that we can continue on now going into this week, which I would say would probably be pretty exciting for Spurs fans, I would say. But big up the regular. Matt C says, what a season it was. Let's hope next season is even better. And the next one after that is even better. It's only up from here, boys. Absolutely love that, Matt C. You're too right, my man. Only up from here. Ricky Nato, good evening, brothers. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Ricky.
Good to see you, Ricky.
You've got Michael. Welcome all. By the way, the intro music slaps. I love it.
Big up, Michael.
Michael in his room with his bottles drinking, partying, giving it socks. Big up,
good
Michael.
Tisky music, Dave. Good Tisky music, exactly.
Welsh God, good to see you. Oh, yes, lads. Big up yourselves. Hashtag Harris Army. Hashtag love a flat cap. Big up, Welsh God. Hope you're keeping well. Benji Kaufman's in the building. Can you smell what the cow is brewing? Yes, Benji, I've been working on it. Big yourself up, my man.
Big up, Ben.
Carl Simpson, good evening, gents. Hope you're all well. We are absolutely buzzing, Carl.
Good to see you, Carl.
Dark Sung G, good to have 2 signings nice and early for once. Big up, Dark Sung G. Great to see you in the building. I mean, hopefully you reminded your dad today about Sadio Mane leaving Liverpool. I mean, he's probably a bit angry, to be honest with you. I mean, your life just keeps getting better, and his is just getting worse at the minute. But Dark Zone G, Paratici coming in, I think is brilliant signing. Fraser Forrester, look, it is what it is. The goalkeeper situation is always going to be like that. It's like that at most clubs. So yeah, look, and hopefully more this week.
Just
We've
a
got-
week and a half ago, he was talking about the quadruple to you, Dark Sun G. Now he's just, sitting in silence. It's amazing how things can change.
Oh, I love it. Big up, Dark Sun G. Good to see you in the building, my man. We've got Stuart727. Good evening, everyone. Big up, Stuart. I hope you're keeping well. Shamu's in the house. Things are looking up, and it's coming to Spurs. Absolutely love that. As you can see, Jack was super excited. He had the Croatia jersey on yesterday. He was that excited.
Courtesy of Shamu as well. That's, Shamu's Croatia kit given to me, Dave. So, I mean, just Harris Army representing. Big up, Shamu. Good to see him, my man.
Big up, Shamu. We've got Hung Jiao. Says, here we go, Bastoni. Big yourself up, my man. Big yourself up. Who else have we got? Bodro Mazid says, good evening, David and Jack. Big up, my man. I hope you're keeping well, Bodro. Jack, will you just check Fabrizio Romano's latest Twitter, see if there's an actually here we go on it. RAI says, woo, big up, David, Jack, and everyone in the chats. Big up, RAI. Great to see you. Good to see you, Zoe. Big up, lads. Dave was so excited he froze. That's it, that excited. I ran out of breath temporarily. I froze. Big up, Zoe. Great to see you in the house. Paddy Higgins as well. Big up, Spurs fans. Catching my breath today in anticipation of a frantic transfer week ahead. It's going to be a busy one, Paddy. It's going to be super, super busy.
What am I looking for? Here we go for again, Dave?
On a Bastoni or anything like that. Just with Hung Jiao saying it in the comments. Just let us know if Fabrizio Romano has put anything out in the last while. Maybe the last hour before that, there was nothing anyway. And Paddy Higgins, he sent in a great image for the Flat Cap Army. I got to send it over to you, Jack. And I will message you back on Twitter and when I finish, my man.
Big up, Paddy.
We've got Azanorts. Evening, guys. Big yourself up, Azanorts. Great to see you in the house. Donald O'Matney. Anything on Andrea Cambiasso?
Nothing. And is that even related to the former Cambiasso of Inter? For a second I thought, maybe I was for a second I thought, we're bringing him out of retirement. Conte, use anybody at this day and age as long as he can get a tune out of them. Maybe that's Cambiasso's son or something like that. I reckon he plays for some Serie A club or something like that. I'm gonna guess that. I have no idea what club he even plays for, though.
Big up, Donald. Maybe you could educate us, my man. Simon Ekholm says, this has been a very good weekend for me. First week returns with Paratici, then Real Madrid beat Liverpool in Champions League final, and Finland wins the World Hockey Championships. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Simon. I hope you're enjoying life, my man. Big up, Finland. We've got William Pretty thoughts on Spurs transfer window right now with our two new signings. William, we are here to kind of discuss the season, but maybe just quick thoughts, my man. Look, I'm absolutely happy with them. I think Paratici proves that we're back in Conte. It's what everybody asked for. It's a Conte signing. The fact that we're going after someone like that age on a pre-contract shows that maybe the board are learning their lessons and that you do need proven winners in here. And Fraser Forrester, my man, I mean, you see it all across the league, buddy, where maybe the second choice, third choice, they're trying to get them English now, just to make fill the squads up on the quota, my man. But big up, William. I think Paratici is a super bit of business, though. If you get Bastoni in beside him, the two of them have worked together, play with each other. So, I mean, you're getting an already made combo coming in, and hopefully in before the preseason starts. Derek Hutchins says, good evening, Dave and Jack. Bye-bye, Stinky Winky. Come on, you Spurs. I hope so, lad. I really do hope so. Big up, Derek. We've got Para Miguel Escobardo. Big up, Jack. David. Big up, Shamu. Big up, everyone in the chat. Big up, Para, all the way from Lagos, my man. Good to see you, KJ Hotspur. Great to see you, my man. Same as you, Adam. Philip Sergio. Roy Park says Conte is building a squad, compete for titles next year. Book it. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that, my man. Big up, Carl Higgins says, evening all. I'm going to find out the price for Kane to win the Golden Boot with the FA Cup and finishing top 4. Absolutely love that. Let me know how you get on, my man. Let me know how you get on. We've also got Derek Smith, Catalano Pena as well. Great to see you in the house. Faz Radfar and Ricky as well. Great to see everybody. But look, we will get into it. We will start bringing on the guests. Everybody, make sure you've already smashed that like button. If you haven't, do it. And if you see the numbers going up, I don't know if they will. Just remind people when they come in to smash that like button. Also, feel free to smash that subscribe button at any point if you do enjoy the content we bring to you. And why not get your comments in the chat or make it a super chat? It's a great way to help support everything myself and Jack do here over the summer into next season. Guys, it's a massive help. We don't have any big wigs behind behind it, and we rely on the generosity of you guys. Or feel free to grab that channel membership. Over 6,000 subscribers, actually 6.5K as of yesterday. So if everybody grab that channel membership, the security of the channel will be lifelong. So everybody, why not grab one? But look, Jack, I think we'll start bringing on the guests and we'll get into the season review.
Get
the
into
first
it.
guest we have coming on is the one and only Don Brady. Philip, how you keeping, my man?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Switched my allegiances this weekend from soccer to GEA, watching a few matches, you know. Of course, had to take in the Liverpool match last night and fairly pleased with the result of that one as well. But,
Bet you are, Philip. And we couldn't do this without the Godfather. We couldn't do this without the Godfather for this. Yeah.
He was a must. He was an absolute must for this. Look, let's bring on the next guest. I mean, look, he's been with us all season long, doing watch-alongs and everything else. He's definitely a valued member of the Irish Hotspur, just like all you guys out there as well. Let's bring him on. It is James Butler. Shawnee, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm really well, really well. Dave, Jack, Philip, and
John,
Marcelo when he comes in. I'm doing well. Hope you guys are too, and looking forward to go through the season. And what a season it's been.
I'm just well. Hopefully to be really well. Maybe after we'll be on Sean's level very soon. But Sean, good to see you, my man. Good to see you. And just like the Godfather, we couldn't do this without Sean as well. We could not do this without Sean.
No, definitely we could not. We could not. And look, last but not least by any means, I mean, look, if you don't hear him, he'll make sure you hear him. He's an absolute fanatic of this club. Let's get him on. It is the one and only Marcelo. Marcelo, how do you keep him, brother?
Well, Liverpool lost yesterday, so life is good. And Mane is leaving, so you know, life is good. And you know what? They had the audacity to think that they could put a bid for Son. I mean, the audacity. You know, first it was Kane, now it was Son. You know, they're on their knees, David. They're begging us. But we'll show them. You know what we do when the rival teams get on their knees, bro? We show no mercy. We're coming for you, boys.
Also, apparently, Wreck-It Ralph, Marcelo used Man United as a stepping stone for that Austria job as well. You know,
you can't blame him. Can't blame him. He's going to bigger and better things. You know, what can I say? You know, up to him.
Smart career move for him.
Absolutely. You know, but look, guys, we will kick things off. We'll go around the panel, just get everyone's maybe general thoughts on the season, and then we'll start digging and diving into some of the main topics throughout the season. So, look, I think we'll start with yourself, Jack. Work our way around the panel. I mean, general thoughts on the season, my man.
What I kind of wrote down, Dave, was that I don't know, because I feel like a lot of people are going to have some good anecdotes and whatnot. So I'm going to keep mine kind of short and sweet. I kind of feel like we've learned maybe this season more in a lot of ways. Maybe in some cases you could say some people learn this the hard way, but a season is pretty unpredictable. You know, like you can't really make your mind up too early, you know, when it comes to a season. Yes, maybe it looks like the trajectory, you know, has already been made. Yes, it maybe looks like the script has been written. You can't always, you know, think that sort of way, especially, I guess, when it comes to Spurs, because this season, I mean, I don't know if anybody could have predicted anything like 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time, because it just felt like we were just the most roller coaster of a club this season. And we've ended up with this being a roller coaster of a season, but somehow, despite it being a roller coaster of a season, we somehow ended up with everybody still on board, you know, nobody, you know, dismembered, or everybody, you know, happy at the end of the day. And
just a little bit of PTSD, you know, just a little bit of PTSD.
I had plenty of
loop-de-loops. Shock.
I was with Sean or I was with you, Marcelo, and I said there were plenty of loop-de-loops on this one, so don't get me wrong. I mean, it was definitely a death roller coaster of certain kinds. But I think the other part that I would say is that it kind of was interesting, a roller coaster for the players as much as it was for us, because they went through the cases of Nuno. You know, they were going through the stages of, you know, seeing players left and right, you know, leaving the club, you know, because Paratici, who we'll get onto later, was just, you know, sending players off left and right. So I don't know, Dave, roller coaster for us, roller coaster for the players. And a lot of lifelong problems with Spurs have sort of been kind of fixed all of a sudden this season as well. So those are my kind of thoughts. As much as it's been kind of roller coaster for us, it's also been a roller coaster for the players, is maybe the last part I would say.
Roller coaster, 100%, my man. I mean, started like the title says, Jack, started off in the Europa Conference League, end up the Champions League. I mean, it's definitely been a roller coaster, my man. Philip, what's your general thoughts on the season, lad?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, a roller coaster again. I mean, good God. It was like we started the season jumping out, doing a parachute jump. And about a third of the way down, we realized the parachute wasn't working. And went along then for the next few hundred yards, wondering what the hell we're going to do. Tried the ripcord again. It worked. And we made a perfect landing. That's really
we learned to fly, actually, Philip. Maybe we learned to fly on our way down.
We did learn to fly without a parachute. No, it was a season of, I won't say two halves, a third and two thirds. The first third, we didn't know what was happening with the manager we had. He was an afterthought. He was the only guy that would take the job. We got rid of him. And look what we ended up with. And we're in the Champions League. So it doesn't get any better than that. But let's just say there was a few sleepless nights along the way.
Definitely a few sleepless nights. I mean, especially under Nuno when you lost the likes of, we'll get into it, but, some of the games we lost under him, there was definitely sleepless nights coming. Shawnee, what's your general thoughts on the season, lad?
Right one. Sorry.
No, I think if I'm being honest, I feel like it was difficult to maintain the confidence that I had in the team at the start. Right, like I always went into the season thinking we were going to achieve similar to what we did. Right, but I'm not saying it's a gloaty, but I'm just being sincere. I genuinely always thought Tottenham would have a chance, not because I just think that the other teams that we're competing with are just as bad as the Tottenham that we saw at the start of the season. Like there was 2 or 3 teams that were well ahead of everybody else, and then you put the next 5 or 6 teams in a bucket of anyone can go for it if they want it, and that was always the case even when we were under Nuno. As soon as Conte came in, from that point on, for me, there was never any doubt we were always going to go there because we'd figure it out in the end. And it was just a season that got better and better and better. From November when he came in, there was ups and downs, there was hiccups, there was injuries, there was tantrums, there was lots of like little moments. But overall, I'm probably one of the few people that think that we didn't outperform. I don't think we necessarily overachieved. I think we probably got the best of the rest, but that's what we probably were at the start of the season anyway. And it was a brilliant season and a great season just to kind of hit the dip low early and then just kind of have a gradual climb in. Is the best way to do it, rather than starting early, starting really strong, and then declining and then hanging on. It's so much better to kind of rally into the finish, and for me, that's the way that Tottenham did it. Exactly. So I love this season. I thought it was a brilliant season, and I think it will turn out to be one of those moments where it will define us, and how we do this summer and how we start next season will define Tottenham's future for the next 4 or 5 years. So for me, it's a really exciting time to be a Tottenham fan right now, following on from a season that I think started poorly and just grew into it all the way through. And it was a brilliant time to be a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, 100%. I think, look, it's probably given us, both this season, the worst side of being a Tottenham fan and probably the best side of being a Tottenham fan for sure. Marcelo, what's your general thoughts over the season, my man?
Been an emotional roller coaster, bro. It started out with just depression with Nuno. You know what I mean? You remember the text messages I was sending at you at night. I'm like, man, I don't know where this club is gonna go. And honestly, I didn't. It's like what Phil said. You know what I mean? Like we were basically falling without a parachute. That's how I felt sometimes. And but just like Sean said, the way after we got Conte and how we kind of grew back and really rallied to get top 4. I almost kind of like it that we did it that way. Then we just got top 4, and that was it, because there's so many memorable games this season. And I felt like a really strong connection with the club that I haven't felt in a long time since Pochettino, so
100%.
So it was a great season. I would say, it was a great season, man.
No, that's a very good point, actually. The way it ended, kind of the vibes and the feels we're all ending on. Dermot with the super sticker. Big up, Dermot, brother. Really do appreciate it.
I wish I had some shades, Dave, but it's just, it's almost like Dermot, he's just sitting this summer cool and calm and collected on the couch, just sitting with shades on indoors. He's just enjoying it, Dave. He's just has a bit of swagger about him.
Big up, Dermatron.
Since he's got the new nickname.
Dermatron has the shades on. Dermatron has the shades.
He's got the new nickname. He thinks he's some sort of secret agent or something. Yeah. Dermatron. Big up, Dermot. Really appreciate the support, brother. Really do. Well, look, guys. I mean, let's start getting into the nitty gritty, and I suppose we'll start with Philip on this one. Actually, Philip, there's been so much that has gone on this season. A season of highs. We started the season under the Nuno with many fans unhappy about his appointment, and it's fair to say it just did not go well for him. Tottenham were covering the least distance out of any team in the league. They were ranked 19 in shots per game. He was sacked after 10 Premier League games, winning 5, losing 5, only scoring 10, but conceding 16, losing to the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Palace, United, West Ham. We struggled in Europa Conference League as well. Where did it all go wrong under Nuno?
I don't think the players, it's pretty obvious, the players did not buy into his methods, his training regime, pretty much everything about him. And let's face it, this was a guy that came in probably 4th, 5th, or 6th choice, right, into the club. And, I mean, that didn't go unnoticed either. We should have got Conte at the very start, but we didn't, but anyway, that's another day's work. Nuno, like, the guy had done pretty well at Wolves. And I suppose we felt, well, here, we'll give the guy a chance, see how he goes. But it didn't take long to see that, when those stats started to come out about the running stats and the fitness stats, and the likes of Harry Kane, it looked like he was half a stone overweight and couldn't give a toss during that whole transfer debacle thing with City, No, it was obvious he was doomed from not the very start, but from very quickly in. Like, let's face it, we won our first 3 matches. We beat Man City in the first game, and that gave us false dawn. We thought, God, this is good. This guy might be good. But the realization soon set in. He wasn't cut up for the job. He wasn't cut out for the job. He wasn't good enough for the job. And thanks be to God, Levy did the decent thing and severed his connection before there was too much damage done. And then we all know what's happened since then, But so I just saw a question there. What's Nuno doing now? I'd say he's probably deputizing Madame Tussauds as a wax dummy, because
enjoying his £14 million that he spent 2 months earning.
Facts, bro. He made a ton of money on that deal.
Honestly, fair play to him for that. Fair play to him to that. And Sean, I've said this to Dave before. With that £14 million, I know he could continue being a manager, but he could maybe invest that into something he's probably actually good at instead of football managing.
I'll retire.
He could, Sean, maybe in Brixton or like Soho of New York or something. He could get like a nice little store, something for like beard oils and beard, kind of lotions. And I think he'd probably excel at that and actually do quite well with it. You could see Nuno excelling at being a hipster.
He'll be fine.
He'll have his little hemp farm and everything.
He'll buy that apartment. He'll buy that apartment.
A CBD store for sure.
Yeah, he'll be cutting the grass.
I hope he didn't put it into Bitcoin because it's only worth $7 million now.
But I feel like Philip hit the nail on the head though, where he said like the players just never bought into it from the beginning, and I think that's like the whole story when it comes to Nuno. Another quick moment though, like maybe that before we forget this, since this is a season wrap up anyway, Dave. You have to look at the fact that Nuno sort of threatened Levy's existence, because Nuno, it got so bad with Nuno that, it wasn't really even Nuno's name that was being called at the Man United game. It was Levy's name. And so Levy had to sort of kind of go like emergency eject button, get rid of Nuno, bring in Conte at all costs. And so I kind of wrote this down, Dave, like as bad as Nuno was, could we have gotten Conte if it wasn't for hiring of Nuno? Like if Nuno wasn't as that bad, like Nuno needed to be that bad in order for maybe Conte to be brought in. So perhaps we needed to thank Nuno for being as awful as he was. That's what I kind of wrote down essentially, Dave.
No, 100%. I mean, look, we'll pass that over to Sean, because I'm sure Sean will probably, think somewhere along the lines of that as well. But also, Sean, where do you think it went wrong under Nuno?
So the answer to the first question, would we have Conte if it wasn't for Nuno? Yeah, like sometimes you have to take a step backwards to move 2 steps forward. See, that's like a thing in life.
Unintentionally, maybe.
Unintentionally. But yeah, look, I think the best game of the season, I'm sure that's a question later, but that Man United game when we lost 3-0, it turned out to be the best game in the season without a doubt in terms of value accretion. And so, yeah, I don't know if we'd have Conte without Nuno. We should have had Conte before we needed Nuno, but for whatever reason, Daniel Levy wasn't at the point then to succumb to whatever the demands of Conte were, and he was after the fact. you know what? By hook or by crook, all good things figure themselves out in the end. And the second question, Dave, was, sorry, what was it? Where did it go wrong for Nuno?
Yeah, where do you think it all went wrong under Nuno?
I honestly think, you know, the only exciting or positive moment was when he did that little comment to the Spurs fans saying, "I won't let you down. I'll make you proud." But in reality, the job was far too big for him. You know, at Wolverhampton Wanderers, you know, he had a style. He had the agent that he works with that was supplying him with talented young players from Portugal, and he was in a small town club. Not that Wolverhampton is, you know, not that Wolves are a small team necessarily, but relatively they are, and he was as successful within that, you know, there's like that you could name 1,000. Look at every sport. There's a thousand names of managers or players that think the grass is greener and they take that step up.
Yeah.
And it's just out of their depth. They're not ready for it. I don't think Nuno will ever personally be ready for it, but maybe he will at some point, but he certainly wasn't ready for the Tottenham job. The Tottenham job was a bit of a poison chalice anyway. The only one that was ever going to get everybody behind the team, get the boardroom on the same side. You needed someone with an arrogance that's based on success to come in, and Nuno didn't have that. The fact that Nuno also then went and came into the club and didn't speak to Harry Kane, didn't speak to Sonny, he had a standoffish narrative with the players, whether that was because of his arrogance or whether it was just because he didn't know how to approach them or because of things that were happening in the background. But ultimately, the whole thing was doomed to fail from the start. He was set up to fail, and I think the Harry Kane saga, if he'd come in at a different time and Harry Kane was mid-season or Harry Kane was settled or whatever, maybe it would have been different. But because of all of that stuff, he handled that particular incident incredibly poorly. He didn't know how to handle Harry Kane, and then he shunned him, and then that filtered through the dressing room, and no one played for him. Basically, it went wrong because none of the big players wanted to play for Nuno, and it was a ticking time bomb. And thank God the Man United game happened in the 8th game rather than the 25th game.
No, 100%. I could not agree more. Look, I'm going to share my opinions on it, and it is somewhere along the lines of that. But first, we'll hear from Marcelo. I mean, Marcelo, what went wrong under Nuno? Like I said, 10 games, won 5, lost 5, only scored 10, conceded 16, ranked 19 shots per game, the lowest out of distance covered. Where? Why?
Appointing him, bro. That's where it went wrong, really. You know what I mean? The guy, Wolves fans was sick and tired of their football. Wolves fans, we should have seen the warnings. We should have seen the headlights. I guess we had no choice but to appoint him. But, man, the guy is just not a high-level manager. You can tell from the training ground, you know what I mean? Listen, I don't believe in this idea that you have to be a proven manager to come in and affect a dressing room. We've seen other managers who, with no name come in and affect big dressing rooms. Yeah. It's about having the charisma. It's about having the belief, the confidence. He took the job because it was the best deal he was going to get. Simple as that. He knew he wasn't going to succeed at Spurs. You can tell it in his face, man. You know what I mean? When push came to shove in the press conferences, he just kept, saying the same things. You can see the difference in him and Antonio when they took the jobs. There's a clear difference in their mannerism and how they took it. He took that job with no confidence. He knew he was going to fail, and he was just really riding the wave, kind of like what Ralph Rangnick did to United, only he did it for most of the season. You know what I mean?
What a shit show he was, though, Malfello.
Yeah. But, and Rangnick was probably even worse than Nuno, but just his football, man, it was terrible. I mean, how they say Bielsa, he invented the murder ball, bro. They should give that to Nuno, because watching his football was literally made me want to die, man. That was some of the worst football I've ever seen us play. I thought I couldn't get worse than Jose Mourinho, bro. But Nuno awesome. Plays the real murder ball, man. It's oh my goodness.
That's amazing. I like that. I'm gonna steal that. Very good.
It definitely was. And do you know what? For me, I think, look, he was doomed from day one. Personally, I feel, look, when a manager comes in, I like to give them a chance. But, look, first of all, his football was too defensive. It was defense first. Couldn't create any patterns, attacking patterns. Could not get the best out of Harry Kane. You would argue he got something out of Son, but obviously, look, Son was consistent the whole way through the season. But when Conte come in, Son went to a new level. And I just don't think he had the personality, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think he, like all you guys are saying, he didn't have that charisma. He didn't have that pull, that arrogance from winning things. You know, he walked into the club, the likes of Kane, Lloris, people like that. Put your trophies on the table to him. You know, I know we don't have much, but like they're at the top of their game. They want to win trophies. That's where they want to go. And if they don't see that happening under Nuno, then you know you get the performances you did. But I think the biggest thing, I think where he ultimately failed from day one was actually going to war with Harry Kane, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
killing Harry Kane was probably what hurt him most. Yeah, you're probably
that's
right
a losing battle, man.
Because look, someone like Conte can come in and say to Harry Kane, "You're dropped, or I'm selling you," but he'll get a reaction from the other players around. He has the respect to be able to do that. Someone like Nuno cannot do that. Someone like Nuno has to come in and get the stars on board straight away for him to even have a chance of succeeding. But he didn't do that. He ignored Harry Kane, spoke to him once within 3 months, you know? And if you're going to do that, but then don't expect Harry Kane to save your job on the football pitch, you know? It's absolutely shambolic. But look, his personality, it's so boring. I mean, honestly, watching paint dry has a better personality than him. I wouldn't even let the guy run my pub. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. And I just don't think he stood a chance from day one. I think his football was negative. His approach was negative. I'll be honest, I don't even think the players looked fit under Nuno either. I'd nowhere near as fit as they were on the Conte. And for me, it was just, it was
look at
an
Kane.
absolute disaster. And thank God
What's interesting, just quickly about Nuno, what's interesting, Dave, is that you could say is that we did that big episode about trying to hype up Nuno before he took the job, you know, try to give him all of the, you know, his positives. But maybe the big negative that we didn't maybe point out was that he never really worked with high profile players before. What he actually excelled at before was working at very young and naive players and kind of turning them into, you know, sort of like sellable assets later, you know, and he didn't really need to do that at Spurs. He needed to take already very good players and make them even better, which I don't think he was ever capable of. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
it's a real thing. Yeah. It was a difference between him and Jose. If you look at Jose, yes, he wasn't great, but he got the best out of Son and Kane and Hugo. He got the best out of those three. You know what I mean? That's what world-class managers do. That's what managers, you know, who's been around the game, that's what they're able to do. And they always will be able to do that. You know, Nuno just doesn't have any class as a manager. No offense to him, he's just average.
No, he is. And I think we've definitely learned a lesson there that while Kane is here, while Son is here, while Lloris is here, and you have winners, people that want to win trophies, I think it's very important now that you bring in a manager that has won stuff so that he automatically gets the command and the respect from players that straight away they're on board with how he does things so that they can go and win trophies. Because if not, we face, you know, what we did on the Nuno at the start of the season. And next time, we might not be so quick to pull the trigger after El Sacco. Benedict Hampus says, long time no speak, roller coaster year on the field and in life in general. Optimism is such a good emotion, and I can't wait till next season. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, 100%. I've said this. I don't know. I've said this loads and loads of times, my man. There's so much negativity in the world. There's wars going on. You know, there's so much going on. There's so much negativity in the world. Everything always trying to bring you down, suck you in. You know, but I always say, try and rise above it. Slap a smile on your face. You're still alive. You know, things can't be much worse than that, to be honest with you. But look, this optimism and look. No, it feels good.
You're either alive or dead. So
Harry Kane back to life. You know, the investment from the club. Hopefully now the club now are playing their part and keeping that optimism going. They certainly look like they're going through. The steps are in place, Benedict. But it is great to see you back, my man. Jack, anything you want to say to Mr. Hampus?
I mean, I just said in so many different ways about how this was a roller coaster, and it probably was a roller coaster for everybody outside of football as well. You're exactly right, Benedict. And I hope you also had maybe more of a, you know, a nice landing, you know, maybe kind of like Philip was talking about that Spurs had. Hopefully you had a similar nice landing, my man. But the optimistic Irish Hotspur, I mean, the guy was doing the pre-match pump up for almost every single game. I think, you know, pretty much made every single game over the course of the entire season. I don't know how he did it, Benedict. Probably had to slap himself multiple times in front of the face in the mirror just to get himself to put a smile on it. So honestly, Benedict, pretty impressive that this guy has maintained the optimism this long, and so have you. But big yourself up, Benedict, and really appreciate the support. And next season, bring it on, my man.
100%. And look, the power of positive thinking, it can bring some good things in life, my man. Always try and think on the bright side of life. Always try and think positive. Big up, Benedict. What an absolute season. But you know what? I really wouldn't change it for the world. I actually really wouldn't. I've learned so much across the course of this season. Leo Kais 1882 says, big up the Irish Hotspur. Thanks for following me on Instagram. Big up the panel. Love from Denver, Colorado, and Colorado Spurs.
Big up, Leo.
First of all, big up Leo, my man. And look, I'll be honest, anyone that follows me on Instagram, anyone that follows me, well, that followed me on Twitter, I always try to give the courtesy of following people back. But I think what's going on at Twitter, I have a problem with Twitter at the minute, right? I think they're on the verge of giving me like a blue tick, but they don't want to give it to me because they will not let me follow anybody back. I'm getting tons of followers every single day, but they won't let me follow anybody back. Keep saying limit reached and all this sort of crap. So I don't really know what's going on. It's been going on for 3 months. Anyone that has followed me on Twitter and you haven't got a follow back, that is the reason why. But always feel free to DM me. There's so many people in the community that do, and I do try and respond where I can. But big up everyone from Colorado. Big yourselves up. Come on, let's have a good season going into next season. Big up
legend, Leo. A lot of friends from Colorado and a beautiful state, and I have I know a lot of good people from that state. So big up, Leo. Enjoy yourself, my man. This time of year, probably absolutely spectacular. But hopefully, Leo, with the new signings that we have, with that elevation and everything, my man, just don't get too dizzy, my man, with some of the signings that we'll be bringing in. Big up, Leo.
Jack. Just quickly, did you look out the window to check the weather in New York before you suggested that the weather in Colorado was spectacular?
Yeah, because Sean, something when it's like 2,000 miles away, sometimes, maybe it's a blue sky over there as well. That's what I kind of had to do.
It makes sense.
Make sure that was a blue sky here still.
I thought so. I was just double checking.
Yeah, that was a good catch there. That was a good catch there.
Big up, Leo. Really appreciate it.
I pretended like it's a small country for about 20 seconds there.
Oh, I can see Los Angeles.
Big up, Leo. Bobby K's in the house as well. Big up, Bobby K. By the way, everybody, get over and check out the Three Spurs boys. Don't know how they done it, but they managed to get Alistair Gold on for an interview, and it was actually a top interview. It was nice to hear.
Wow.
Kind of confirms his sources, how he got into it, etc., etc. So, guys, do get over and check it out. Big up, Bobby K. I hope you, Christian, and Jay are doing well, my man. And Dark Son G says, son, please convince Jesus and Richarlison this week. I mean, we'll go around the panel on this one quickly, Dark Son G, and just get people's thoughts on them. Me, personally, I would much rather a Richarlison than a Jesus. I just think, look, I know Richarlison's an angry guy, but he's also a shithouse, and I love shithouses. And I think Conte could definitely channel his passion, because at the end of the day, his anger stems from passion. And I think Conte could turn that into an exceptional human being and a player, in my opinion. Jesus, I'll be honest, I think he's the guy that wants to go and play first team somewhere now. I don't see him wanting to come in here and be behind Harry Kane. I do not see it. But Jack, yourself?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I kind of like Jesus, but I feel like Richarlison's already just better than Jesus anyways. And then Richarlison, I feel like I've seen him since his Watford debut at Premier League level, and I've kind of just liked him ever since. I feel like he's been playing for garbage teams alongside garbage players like his whole career in the Premier League, and I'm kind of waiting for him to play alongside some decent players for once. And if that be Spurs, that'd be nice to see. And I just think he's just better than Jesus in general anyways, so I would definitely take him.
Yeah, 100%. Philip, what would you do with these two?
Of the two, I think, I don't think Jesus is going to come and play second fiddle to Son or Harry Kane, so I don't think I'll get him. Richarlison, I'd take him. I'll tell you one thing, he has pissed off the Liverpool fans no end in the last couple of weeks, so I think his job there is done. Time for him to come down to London and piss off the Gooners. But yeah, I think it would be a good signing for us. Yeah. As you say, he's angry, and that's we want a bit of a steel in the team as well. And he's got attitude, but the right type of attitude. And I'd take Richarlison.
He's that much of a shithouse. He even put up the picture of him driving that bus.
I know. That brilliant.
It's quality.
I'd say he'd have a police guard in his house in Liverpool after that.
100%, 100%, my man. Sean, would you take both, or would you prefer one or the other?
I would rather Gabriel Jesus, if I'm honest. I am not that impressed with Richarlison. I hear your points on him, but at the end of the day, he's a striker in a team that didn't score enough goals to stay up until the penultimate game of the season, and Everton are not short of options in the midfield, so you can't blame creativity or lack of chances. He didn't finish his dinner enough. I also don't like players that throw their toys out of the pram. I think that there's, whether or not you like the manager, whether or not you think you're better than the team, you're getting paid a lot of money. You have to run through walls. Whoever you're playing for, whatever team you have, you're employed by them. Do your job. I don't think he did it enough during the season. I also think he's probably someone that isn't, as much as his ego is a thing, he's going to have an ego where he's not going to want to sit on the bench. And I don't know if he's going to be someone that's going to disrupt the dressing room a little bit. So for me, Richarlison's a no in terms of Jesus. I also have the same worries. He's leaving a team where he can't get a game. Yeah, would he come to join? Would he come and join a team where he also is not going to play every game? I imagine Jesus is going to go to Arsenal because he'll get a game there. Of the two, I'd rather Jesus, but I don't expect either of them to be playing in the Tottenham shirt next season.
Interesting. Both fellow countrymen. I mean, who would you prefer?
For me, it's pretty easy. It's Richarlison, really. Jesus, I never really rated him too much. He can't start as a striker in a team without any strikers. I should tell you a lot. You know what I mean? There's a reason why he isn't playing. And, so I never really liked Jesus. I think Richarlison, I disagree with Sean. I think he's been punching above his weight, man. You know what I mean? He's been carrying that Everton team. They're piss poor. Calvert-Lewin, for me, most overrated footballer ever. No hold-up play. The guy can only head balls. That's about it. You know what I mean? They're midfield, bro. I mean, it might as well be a Western movie. You can see Hay going in there, bro. The guy has nobody to help him out. He had Digne, but then they sold Digne, and you can see he struggled ever since that because he had no partnership, nobody really to kind of look at. I think Townsend.
Talk about Everton. Who do you want at
Richarlison. Richarlison.
Absolutely hate
Let's break down Everton's failed season.
I was enjoying that Calvert.
I was enjoying it as well.
I had so many Calvert-Lewin jokes that were.
No, he's so shit, man. You know what I mean?
I was enjoying the Everton breakdown. If I'm honest, I was quite.
I cannot stand Everton. Honestly, I despise them so much. Just like Liverpool.
Benedict, and then also, Dave, just before this one, John Stokes celebrating 4 months here, Dave, saying evening to the best Spurs YouTube channel. # come on you Spurs. Big up, John. Always in the chat, Dave. Always in here, no matter what. Big up, John. Really appreciate it. Threw in another super chat as well. So, John, really appreciate your support, my man. Been with us for quite a long time, it feels like. I feel like he's been with us much longer than 4 months. So, I feel like that's a disservice to him.
No, big up, John Stokes. Good to see you in 4 months, my man. Absolute legend. Tell everyone how great it is to get a membership. I think Marcelo's just fixing his camera angle and he will be back. Benedict Hampus says, I think the injection of money is a precursor to a sale. It very well could be. I mean, I know some people are saying Joe Lewis is getting on in life and that, it could be something to do with that. I'm not 100% sure, if I'm being honest. Well, I don't know if they want to sell anytime soon, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's London, it's prime real estate. I mean, it's if you had an option to buy a club, it's probably where most people want to be. I mean, Sean, this is probably more up your street. What would you say to Benedict? Think it could be?
I take the point about Joe Lewis, but the valuation of that 150 million, if you put it across the shares and against the total shares in issue, it values the club at 7.5 billion.
Quite minuscule.
I mean, I just don't think you find. I mean, Chelsea was sold for 4.5 billion, and they've got a stadium in disrepair. They've got players that are leaving, so maybe it's a fair valuation. I don't know. Like, who the hell knows how you value a football club? Like, it's insane. But I don't think that you're going to see anyone that comes in, especially now that the narrative has changed. Like the Newcastle snuck in, those owners snuck in just before the kind of last orders at the bar, like the doors were shut. Newcastle got in to get a quick shot before the bar shut, but the doors closed for the next buyer from Saudi Arabia and from Eastern Europe. So the only money that could buy Tottenham right now is probably North American money. And I don't see someone paying $7.5 billion if that is how Levy and Enoch, value the club now, which if you look at the numbers, that's what you would have to suggest that they do. So for me, Benedict, I don't think that's sorry, I don't think so.
We should be happy regardless, though, quickly. You should be happy regardless, because either it means that if they are trying to sell, it means that Levy and Enoch are trying to improve the club before they sell it, so that they can sell it for higher money. It'd be like improving your house, before you sold it, redo the kitchen or something like that. So you have to be happy at the end of the day, because if they're not selling it, they're still putting 150 million in. So you're happy. If they are selling it, they're improving the assets of the club before they sell it. So you're still happy. So, and you get rid of Levy and Enoch. So everybody's happy. So I think,
what I would believe,
be happy.
I do think you'll see. I know we saw the rugby league cup final at Tottenham, and a couple of the concerts that were delayed because of COVID that were moved to this summer. I think you're going to see a ton of more of those. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you were to see 10, 12 events, 15 events next season as a way to recuperate the money and all that stuff. And hopefully that stuff all gets plowed back in. Either way, to Jack's point, it's good times, right? Anyone that was Levy out, as Matt Hayes said on your channel, guys, this is what you wanted. So you should be happy. The Levy in guys, we're all happy. Levy out guys, you should be happy as well. Matt Hayes is here. There you go. But yeah, to me, it's like it's good times either way. To your point, Jack.
100%. Big up, Matty. Sorry,
something on the same subject there. That you see these Lady Gaga's concert, especially coming up this summer, is apparently creating quite a lot of interest in the US. I think Levy's ploy is get American groups like Guns N' Roses, Lady Gaga in there, and he's trying to whip up interest with American companies to put the money in on the naming rights issue.
Mm-hmm.
Not to maybe sell the company, but come up with a decent naming rights price. And I think that's going to be one of the ideas of bringing on these concerts, as well as making lots of money. Because I heard the figure they were making concerts, and they make your eyes water. It's massive.
I think they rent the stadium out at something like between £1.5 and £2 million just for the stadium, and then they also make £2 million per event on revenue from beers and burgers and shit. So, a lot of money in these events.
100%. Matty, I don't know. Can I say it? I'm not sure whether I can say it or not, but it's absolutely huge news, everybody. It is absolutely huge news. You should be absolutely super excited. It's a big one.
What's the news?
I can't say it. I don't know. I'm waiting for Matty to let me know if I can say it or not. But
okay.
Matty, if not, let me know when you've tweeted it, and then I can say it, my man. But big yourself, Matty. But everybody should be super duper excited. But guys, I do want to move on. I do want to talk a bit about Harry Kane, and then we'll get to some more of the super chats. So, look, the Harry Kane saga. He joined the squad only 3 days back before the first game of the season versus Man City, since he had to quarantine due to coronavirus protocols following his return from holiday in the Bahamas. Now, that was off the back of summer-long speculation over his future and his interview with Gary Neville. He was dropped for the first game versus Man City, with Nuno saying fitness issues as the reason. He only scored 1 goal, 1 assist out of 19 shots in 9 Premier League games under Nuno. Is Harry Kane at fault for Nuno sacking by not performing under him, or did Nuno get himself sacked by going to war with Harry Kane and his playing style failing to get the best out of Kane? And look, Marcelo, we'll start with you on this one, lad.
Yeah. Start off, my apologies. Mom called. You know how it is. But yeah. No, it really is hard to blame it on him, but also there is a partial blame to be put on him. Now, I think he was done harsh, man. You know what I mean? He had a hard Euros, and then you come back, you sack Mourinho, and then you get Nuno. You know what I mean? that's a tough one to take in the chin. You know, you want to go win bigger and better things. And, you know, he is that type of player that deserves bigger and better things. So I kind of don't blame him. But at the same time, you are getting paid. At the same time, it was his fault that he did a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy. Know who you're working with. And third off, like, he's still getting paid. So that means he's got to be a professional. You know, Son was still putting in the effort. Now, Son also didn't look that good under Nuno, but he was putting in the effort. So I would have wished he put in the effort at least.
Yeah.
So he does have some partial blame.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. I mean, we'll go to you on this, Shawnee. Mm-hmm. I mean, Nuno at fault for going to war with Harry Kane, or Harry Kane at fault, you know, for not doing what the manager wants of him?
Nuno naive for going to war with Harry Kane. Like, silly boy, what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to win that argument? Right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Harry Kane at fault for turning up late. Harry Kane at fault for downing tools. Harry Kane at fault for letting his brother run his agency and his future plans. Harry Kane takes a lion's share of the blame for his start to the season. I'm not saying that it's, you know, everyone makes mistakes, and these guys, they're all kids. Even though Harry Kane's like the captain of England, right? He's still only 28, 29 years old. I'm 38. I still make mistakes every day that I made when I was 18. When I made what I was 8, like, you know, I think the definition of intelligence should be changed to someone who learns from their mistakes. And I think everyone makes mistakes all the way through their life. So I think Harry Kane is at fault for listening to bad advice, for taking bad advice, and then for acting a bit like a petulant child. But when it comes to getting back to business, Nuno, you should have put your arm around his shoulder and said, okay, listen, just like, I need you, bro. Like, whatever you want to happen, you're here now, so whatever happens, let's work together. But for Nuno to kind of go, I'm going to utilize, you know, my position, and then I'm going to try and leverage against Harry Kane on some of the fan base, or whatever he was thinking, massively naive. Like, you take on Harry Kane at Tottenham, you're going to lose. The only person who has the ability to do that and maybe succeed is Conte.
Yeah.
Even then, though, I will.
Even then, it's fucking
no.
risky,
Even
Marcelo,
then, I'll say this, John. That's not what big managers do, though. No, you don't go to the big clubs and try to start war with the big players day one. You know what I mean? When Conte looks at Kane, he looks at him like a beautiful, bright Ferrari, man. You know what I mean? He's like, "You're my precious, bro. I'm gonna take care of you." You know what I mean? That's what the big managers do. You don't start a war with the big players.
You don't start a war. But if you are going, if a war has to happen,
if it has,
the
to
only
happen.
person that's going to win that war, and it's still a maybe. It's still a maybe. Is Conte?
Yes.
100%. 100%. And Philip, I mean, where do you stand on the whole situation? Is Kane at fault for Nuno sacking, or is Nuno at fault for going to war with Harry Kane?
75-25. 75% Nuno, 25 Harry. And the only reason I'm saying 25 Harry is he shouldn't listen to that idiot brother of his.
Yep.
You know, and he took his eye off the ball. But Nuno made a cardinal mistake. Here you've got a player, Golden Boot winner last season, Golden Assist, if you call it that, winner last season, captain of England, comes back a few days late because of COVID restrictions, and he disses him. He blanks him. Total stupidity. And signing his own P45 from the start by doing something like that. You do not ignore a player like Harry Kane. You did not put him down. You don't make him feel small, because you're going to alienate all the other players at the club, plus the fans, when they get to hear of it. Harry is not blameless in this, but he is completely, you know, he's the minority blame on this. It's purely down to Nuno for bad man management. In fact, pathetic man management really was, by dissing the best asset he had at the club, and he paid the price.
100%. 100%. I mean, Jack, what's your thoughts on it all, my man, on the whole situation?
I think, honestly, Sean gave a really perfect answer there. I think Philip really added to it. Perhaps the only thing I would add with, like, the whole Harry Kane situation is that, kind of like Sean said, like, Nuno probably started it off wrong and maybe, you know, put it in a horrible situation that he can't really, you know, like, blame anybody else but himself. But to say that Harry Kane, you know, like, could blame, I don't know if Harry Kane could look in the mirror and blame Nuno for that situation. You know, Harry Kane would probably be better off blaming, the situation of hiring Nuno more than actually blaming Nuno, because, I don't think he could really blame Nuno for his own work ethic, because we all saw, Dave. I mean, Florida does that to you, Dave. Especially the summer, you gained a bit of poundage. It's hard to, get rid of it, get used to the nice sun, the palomas and everything on Levy's yacht. And I just don't think he could get rid of that poundage. And probably as well, like, Nuno wasn't motivating him to get back in shape either. And I think there was a big kind of, tie and, twist of, or just a bit of conflict there. And so as much as I want to blame Nuno for it all, Dave, you have to kind of look at it how Sean said it. Like, a lot of it still falls on Kane for just not being accountable for himself at the end of the day. But I'm glad it worked out. And maybe it was just a bit of a point of defiance from Harry Kane to show to Levy, to show to the club and everything, that when he saw Nuno, that this wasn't good enough for him. And I can't really blame him for that at the end of the day. Yeah. Really can't. So.
And all's well that ends well, right? Like you say, Jack,
right.
it all figured out in the end. So.
Well,
not much more I can add really, other than what Philip, Sean, and Marcel. So.
Well, you know me, I think Harry Kane is absolutely blameless. Can't put any blame on him whatsoever. But you know what? I think Nuno's at fault here. I mean, it's so stupid. I mean, honestly, I have an IQ of about 4, and even I'm smarter than this guy, right? No, genuinely, right? You do not come in and start a war with the guy that bangs in 20-plus goals a season. When you
and by the way, he's one of their own. He's one of their own.
Yes, he's one of their own through the academy, right? You've no trophies to put onto the table. I mean, you've never been as popular as Harry Kane. He gets you 20-plus goals a season, and you start a war with him. Okay, you drop him for the first game of the season, which I disagree with. I know we won the game, but for me, you at least bring him off the bench, or you let him play some part. And then, you speak to him once. You speak to the guy once. I mean, you already know Harry Kane's future is in doubt. You've got to come in and put water on that situation. A bit like what Antonio Conte had done. But, for Nuno, he just never tried to do it. He spoke to him once. And the reason why I think he spoke to him once is I think they had a conversation. Nuno tried to fucking, big ball him. And Kane just said, okay, we'll see how that works out. You'll be gone out of here within 15 games. And look what happened. There had to have been something that's gone on, a war of words that he only spoke to him once. But it wasn't just Harry Kane. When we were speaking to Tony Galvin, he was saying that he gave the cold shoulder to everyone. He's given the cold shoulder to Pat Jennings, club legend. You know what I mean? The guy had this ego about him, this bravado about him, but had no reason to. I mean, he was Wolves manager, for fuck's sake. They're not even too long into the Premier League. It's absolutely ridiculous. And for me, I blame Nuno. I mean, if I'm a guy coming into a job, the first thing I'm doing is getting Harry Kane on site. You get Harry Kane on site, everyone else will fall into line. Well, most others will fall into line. And he failed to do that. So for me, I think, look, I do blame Harry Kane in terms of the speculation surrounding his future all summer long. I think that was an idiotic interview to give. But at the same time, it's probably kicked the club into the arse to get someone like Conte in here in the summer, get players in here in January, act early this window, because it's not just Conte they're trying to keep. They're kind of trying to keep the best striker, the best footballer in world football. So, look, I know some people are going to say, Dave, you're deluded, which I am, probably am. But at the end of the day, I love Harry that much. And you know what it's like when you love somebody, you're blinkered. You don't blame them for anything. We've all been in them sort of relationships. The bottom dude with the super chat, he says, it is safe to say the midfielders go. Is it safe to say that midfielders go on to make better coaches? Most of the top coaches today used to play as midfielders. Nuno played as a goalkeeper. Maybe that's why he didn't work out. And do you know what, the bottom dude? Like, everyone says it. Goalkeepers are weird people. It's not me that's saying it. All footballers, you ask any strikers, midfielders, defenders, they'll tell you. They're just weird people. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. But look,
lonely place. They play, no man's land. That's where they play.
Yeah, it's not just a lonely place. It's a zero failure place. You make a mistake, you're
done.
You're done. If you do really well done for doing your job. If you make one mistake, you could cost a game. Not the same for anybody else who plays football. It's
not a very rewarding job.
No.
Not really.
100%.
I kind of feel for them.
Yeah. You could see how goalkeepers, maybe they would be good at like having like kind of like Nuno to a degree, like good at maybe being defensive sort of managers because they can see the weaknesses from a different angle than maybe other, sort of people do on a regular basis. At the same time, though, like, yeah, I agree with you. The bottom two is just not really a part of the field that you really expect like the best sort of managers to be made from. You probably do expect majority managers that end up being very good to be sort of like hardworking midfielders or like deep lying playmakers or something like that. That's where it kind of would make most sense, to be fair. At the same time, though, it's not always true. Not always true. But I kind of agree with you. The goalkeeper, probably the one that makes the least sense.
No, 100%. Look, for me, I think you look at midfielders, they have that ego about them. They have that character about them. Usually, especially in football eras gone by, 9 times out of 10, or at least 5 times out of 10, your captain would be a centre back or a centre midfielder, someone that naturally leads the dressing room anyway, someone that naturally is a leader on the football pitch, and it's easier to transition that into management than someone like Nuno, who's on the outside most of the time, especially back in the day. When he was playing and goes on the outside of things more so. Most of the time, it's not as bad anymore because I know goalkeepers to do their own training and then they're sort of integrated into a bit of training and then sometimes they stay on after to save shots and all. But it's completely changed. But I think the fact that midfielders are probably natural born leaders on the pitch anyway, it's easier to transition into management at the bottom. But not a bad shout. Really appreciate the super.
And Dave, but he's actually kind of being, he's not even being very serious. But I mean, I guess we answered it in a very serious sort of manner.
Yeah,
but I guess when it comes to there's no explanations for Nuno, so really anything goes. There's no wrong answer.
No, big up the bottom, dude. I really appreciate the support, brother. It really does go a long way to everything we do here. John Stokes says, "Is it true I'm hearing and reading Bastoni has agreed personal terms, and now it's just down to club fees? Anyone heard the same?"
Matty Hayes has just put out a tweet, Dave, and the tweet does say, "It is my understanding that Alessandro Bastoni has agreed personal terms with Tottenham Hotspur, as reported by George Ban. Spurs have not yet agreed a fee with Inter Milan, but Bastoni remains the number one priority, and there is confidence that a deal can still be done."
Yeah.
Or not still, just a deal can be done. Sorry.
Yeah, same stuff. Same that was out last few days ago, yeah.
There you are, John. So Matty Hayes from, the lips of Matizio Romano. There you are, my man. He hasn't given a here we go, but there has been personal terms agreed, and you could probably say that we are very, very close and making steps in the right direction. And the big statement signing of the window could be made very soon, John. So definitely watch this space, John. Definitely watch this space.
In my opinion, when personal terms, when they're agreed, most of the time, it's safe to say it's probably going to happen. You know what I mean? Clubs don't want to keep players that, are agreeing personal terms with other clubs. It's the same thing we did with Romero. We agree with personal terms first. It's just to decrease the transfer fee. It's probably going to happen.
No, 100%. Look, it is happening. I think it's on the brink. I think expect an announcement in the next day or two, especially by Wednesday, I would say. With John Stokes, it's exciting times. I mean, he's already got the link up with Paratici, so he'll just fall in absolutely nicely. But big up, John Stokes. Really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Dark Son G says, imagine Bastoni, Paratici, and Son all on one side. I mean, it's things you can only dream of. I mean, I was actually thinking about this yesterday.
That's mad.
Son is going to benefit so much more. Kane, Kulusevski as well, from having Paratici down that side, putting the deliveries in the box that he puts in compared to Sessegnon. He's two-footed. He can do it left, right foot. The forward players are going to benefit so much more. Bastoni, I think, is absolutely brilliant. Again, he's another one that can get down there, put balls into the box. A very good passer of the football as well. And it just means right-sided centre-back, left-sided centre-back. You have two players that can actually play out from the back. And hopefully now we can turn into a bit more of a possession-based team with these sort of quality players that we can be the ones dominating the game rather than sitting back and having to do the counter-attack. But big up, Dark Sundry. Really appreciate the support, brother. Bobby K says, love you all. Big up, Bobby K, my man. Really appreciate it.
Dave, can I know this is a season review, but just on what you just said, do you mind me just asking a quick question?
What?
Do you actually want Tottenham because we're not a possession-based team. Or we're not like a low block team against anybody other than the top three, right? Yeah. Would you actually want us to change our system against Liverpool next season?
I don't think you need to change your system. I think it's a system that works fine. I think what I will say is the better quality of players we have coming in, I think will make the difference in them sort of games, that it's enough to be able to create you more than enough chances to be able to go and win the game, in my opinion. I
anticipate to answer Sean's question, I kind of anticipate Sessegnon actually still being used for very much the top 4, top 3 sort of fixtures, and Paratici being used heavily for like the Southamptons, the Brentfords, and the Brightons of the world that would try to stifle us. And Paratici would be someone that you could maybe take that risk defensively, Sean, with maybe, him not being as good as Sessegnon, but you make up for it with what he can do going forward. Whereas Sessegnon, we didn't really need, him to do a lot going forward against the likes of Liverpool and whatnot, and we just need him to be defensively strong against Salah. And so that I don't think you do change it. In fact, that was a long way of me saying no. That was a long way of me saying
I absolutely love how fucking annoyed Klopp was last night once again. Moaning, like his post-match press. It was so childish and petulant because he thinks, "How dare someone not play football the way that I want them to play against us, so we can beat you." And next season, I don't care how good our team is. I want Tottenham to do exactly the same thing, and this time just smash them. This
time like go one step wanted to lower the FIFA difficulty level or something like that. Like he was really just upset.
Really? No, that's facts, bro. Honestly, why are they defending? Why are they attacking?
Why won't they let me play that through?
It's insane.
Let me score some goals for fuck's sake.
It's insane.
I'll dare you take a shot against us.
Everyone check out 3 Spurs boys, especially with the Ali Gold interview. Definitely checking that out. Thank you. Good plug there.
Thanks. So G says, I love how Liverpool lost the 2 biggest trophies, lad. I mean, it's absolutely sweet. They've gone from crowning themselves the greatest ever team to just being an ordinary average team. I mean, no one's going to remember this side for winning the FA Cup and Carabao Cup. Yes, it goes down as honours, but Liverpool have that many to their name. It's not really going to be a side that's remembered. But you know what I love most? That Sadio Mane is leaving. He's the one that they all adore. They all love him. And the fact that, he's going.
The boy Diaz is nowhere near as good as everyone says he is. He was pocketed last night. He's not that good.
Bro. Carvajal's like 50 years old, man.
January 31st, I said, I'm so fucking happy that Luis Diaz didn't come and then we got Kulusevski instead. And I stand by that. Diaz is nowhere near as good as Kulusevski. No chance, no way. And Liverpool next season, if Salah's I know we're talking about Liverpool, but if he's thinking about leaving,
he hasn't signed the contract,
and Mane's definitely going, and then Firmino's on his way out as well. Liverpool need to rebuild fast, otherwise they could be left behind a little bit.
100%.
No, G likes that answer, Sean.
Philip, I know you love speaking about Liverpool as well. Do you want to get your 2 pence in here? I know you hate them.
I just don't like turning on my TV here, and every time I do, Jurgen Klopp is on it because they're obsessed with him over here. I don't know everything. Jurgen Klopp changes his socks. It's on the Irish TV here. So I was delighted to see how petulant he was, saying that if your goalkeeper is man of the match, there's something wrong. Conveniently forgetting that 3 years ago, Alisson was man of the match against us in the Champions League final. It's the hypocrisy of the guy. Total hypocrite. Total hypocrite.
And they had to cheat with VAR to win the game too.
That goal last night should have been allowed. That goal last night, it touched 2 Liverpool players on the way through. It was not offside.
Disgrace.
But they got
what is it considered a pass back? If I make a sliding tackle on a ball and it ends up to an offender, and I just say, I'm not intentionally playing it. It's like, is that just error or just not intentionally playing it?
It's bullshit rule.
It's a pass back. You just made a defensive mistake. Instead of keeping your calm, you slide tackled and the ball ended up to Benzema. That's not an offside. That's a deliberate pass. I don't care what people say.
It leaves it open.
The sign that comes up, the thing that comes up on the screen, VAR waiting for decision, And the Brighton did the gift was whatever Liverpool wants. That's just it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But Dark Song G, my man, really appreciate the support, and hopefully you keep rubbing it into the Outlaw brother. Lazy 8, big up Nick. He says, and he's on holiday. Is he still on holidays, Jack? I'm not sure. I think he is.
Yeah, he's on work/holidays, still working on holidays, but she's an absolute madman. But yeah, Dave, work/holiday.
Legend, Nick. He says, big up, lads. I think Conte's profile for incoming players is versatility. He needs confidence when he looks at the bench and quality to fill in gaps. I mean, Jack, what would you say to Nick?
He's actually probably right, to be fair, because you look at the players that we sort of got rid of, and maybe their biggest problem was sort of versatility. And I know I'm going to touch on another thing that Nick has said here, but he might actually be right. What was Tanguy's biggest problem? Tanguy's biggest problem was that you had to base the entire team around him. You needed every single other player to work for him, and you had to put him directly in the middle of that sort of 4-2-3-1. You kind of could say the same thing about Gio, except Gio just didn't want to play for Spurs at the end of the day, so I don't really
certainly say it about Harry Winks, right?
Harry Winks, well, we haven't got rid of him.
He's just not good enough.
We just haven't got rid of him yet, so I don't know if I can include him in that bracket. With Dele Alli, I don't know, Dave, every Dele fan was making every excuse under the sun at what was the best position in order for us to get the most out of him. He really didn't show any versatility to begin with. So I feel like Nick has a really good point here that Conte, he wants players that are not only not troublemakers in the dressing room or, bad influences in the dressing room, but he also needs them to be able to play in other positions to at least a 5 to, or at least a 6 out of 10 sort of ability without complaining, without, moaning. And I think it makes sense. I think Nick's onto something here.
100%. Big up, Nick, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you do enjoy the rest of your work holiday, my man. I mean, I'm sure you've made enough time for a bit of downtime, so hopefully you do enjoy it and you enjoy the sights, and hopefully you get to kick back and have a beer and celebrate top 4, my man. Big up, Nick. We all love you over here. You're a massive help to what we do. Bottom Duty says, do you think Spence would be a good recruit? He's a great prospect, but is he a Conte player? I'm not sure he replaces Doherty or Real straight away. I mean, look, for me, I think he would be a good recruit. I do. Look, he's a player that you look at him, he has all the right attributes to be able to succeed and get to the very top of the game. And I think it will take someone like a Conte, a Klopp, a Guardiola to work on this kid and get him to that level. But if it's 10, 15 million, I think you've got to go for it. Look, at the end of the day, most markets, most clubs always keep one eye on the future. And it's not like we're pissing away a lot of money on this guy. And for me, I think it would be a good sign. I think it'd be worth bringing him in and developing him. Because we have to remember, we pulled Kyle Walker for free off Sheffield United, developed him. Even at 22 and all, he was loaned out. Look what he ended up doing for Tottenham. Danny Rose pulled from Leeds as well. Loaned him out for years. Went out to Sunderland, etc., etc. Look what he ended up doing for Tottenham. Obviously not by the end, where we had to get rid of him and stuff. Yeah. But look what they've done for Tottenham. And for me, I think it would be smart. I would rather get my hands on him now than wait for it down the line and pay 30, 40 million, because I can guarantee you now, even if we don't take him this year, Forest will. He'll be in the Premier League this year. And the reason why, I know a lot of people watch today's game. Maybe it wasn't his best performance, but I've watched this guy throughout the season. Trust me, he's had a good season. Philip, I know you're a fan. What would you say to the bottom door?
So is that me, David?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I watched the game today. Now, it wasn't his best game, but it wasn't a game to be expansive. There was too much at stake. So he did what he had to do. He didn't go past play. Once he did and got to the byline, and I think his cross was deflected. But he did some very, very good defensive work as well, which he needed, because in the second half, Forest under a lot of pressure. So, yeah, I think I'll take, 15 million, he's a steal. Maybe he doesn't walk into the first team, but after a year or so's tutoring under Conte, he will be one for the future. Like you said, like Danny Rose was and Kyle Walker. So, yeah, 100%. I'd take it.
100%. And we'll ask our own in-house scout, Jack. I mean, what's your thoughts on Spence?
I've heard really good reviews about Spence, but I'll be honest with what I'm hearing from you two. I think he needs to be able to walk into the first team, and if he can't or isn't ready to, that kind of concerns me. Because
we've got one for the
as
future,
much as
Emerson.
as much as he's cheap, and
I'm sorry, just the way Jack just went. Yeah, like.
Yeah. Like as much, but no, like we're just in the same situation with like an extra player. I think Sean's like onto something. You know, it's just kind of like, what do you really do there? You're kind of like, well, is he better than Doherty? If he isn't definitively better than Doherty, then I just don't really see the point then. And then I know really he's young and I know he's homegrown and everything, but that would concern me if he's not immediately better than Doherty or Emerson. You know, he doesn't need to be better than Emerson defensively, but he needs to be better than him going forward. You know, there needs to be something that he needs to offer right away that I feel like gets him into the first team. And from what I've heard from people, there is. I've seen his dribbling. I've seen his ball carrying ability. He's had good numbers this season, and you could think that he is good enough to do it. But I don't know. From what Philip and David just said, gives me a bit of hesitation, because if he's not good enough maybe to get into that first team, then that would give me cause for concern.
Interesting.
I think it's not he mightn't be good. Not that he's not good enough to get into the first team. You've got Emerson has come good at the end of the season. Doherty's coming back. You know, is he just going to walk straight past those two guys? He's going to be competitive. He's going to be competition for them to get into the first team. And after a few months at Spurs, his game is going to improve immensely, which is when he will be ready. So I think it's a chance, but it's a chance that's a reasonably priced chance by taking him on. And he certainly is the best English wing back out there at the moment that's available.
100%.
Most promising one.
But big up the Bolton Duter. Really appreciate the support, brother. Absolute top man. Really do appreciate it. Dark Zone Jesus, how do you feel about Perisic rejecting Chelsea? And we'll let Sean and Marcelo in on this one. Shawnee, I mean, Perisic rejecting Chelsea, lad?
Yeah, it's great. It's great news. I don't. There's not much to say about that. I think that's just. I don't think it's because of Tottenham over Chelsea. I think it's because of Conte. Can I just come back on the Jed Spence thing quickly?
Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
I don't think he's the right guy. I don't think he's the right guy at all. I think everyone's highlight reel looks really good. I don't like the way he's smoking a cigar in the picture after the show. I don't like the fact there's cans of like Budweiser. I don't think he offers anything more. We've got a young player in Emerson that with a little bit of training, he's just as young, just as much talent. And we've already paid 25 million for a potential guy. For me, Emerson with a season of like a solid summer of like learning how to run at the ball, like to run at pace and cross the ball, like take him to one side for 2 hours twice a week, and then just spend out for hours and hours and hours just run at the ball, dribble, like hit the ball in front of you, and then cross the ball at pace. Do it ad nauseum, and you've got a player there. For me, Jed Spence is just like, to Jack's point, he's just another guy, another young guy with talent, and he was rubbish today. He was poor defensively.
After today's game.
No, I'm not. I'm not basing it just on today's, because I was doing a review on him, or I was asking about him on my own show, and I went and saw the low light reel and the highlight reel. And I went and saw some extended highlights of Nottingham Forest games leading up to the playoffs and in their run up to the end of the season. I just don't think I don't think he's anything. He's not that special. And like to Jack's point, if he's not going to come in and immediately be in the first team, then for me, like I don't see the point in having him. I'm gonna put. I know you guys love him, but for me, I'm gonna say no. I don't want him. I'm not excited. If we sign him, if this is the news that Matty Hayes and everyone else was going to talk about, I'm not excited by that at all. I love the fact Perisic, to get back to Perisic, right? That's a world-class player that is going to come in and make our left side strong.
Yeah.
If I see Jed Spence as our right wing back signing for the summer, I'll be super disappointed.
Yeah, but we also need homegrown players. You know, that's another big problem.
Interesting. But
we have
let us know in the chat. Do you want Jed Spence? Do you not want Jed Spence? Let us know. But Marcelo, I mean, Perisic rejecting Chelsea. I mean, look, obviously there's an element to it that maybe they didn't. I don't know if they had the right money to offer him because they were waiting for that team to be approved. I'm not sure if that affected it, but I mean, the fact he rejected Chelsea and came because he loves Conte anyway. I mean, it says a lot, doesn't it?
No, listen, that had nothing to do because all he would have to do is just wait until Chelsea, officially got owned, and off he went. But no, he just chose the brighter side of London. He knows, bro. He knows what's coming. He knows there's a new era. There's a new era at London, and he knows it's with Don Conte and his lily white mafia, man. So it was perfect. He rejected the scum, and he came to us. Times are changing, David. Times are changing, buddy.
They are. It's super exciting, boys. Super exciting. We'll take this one from AV Troops, and then we'll move on with the season review. AV Troops, guys, Gooners already salty about our signings and making things up to let our club down. These Gooners never change. Also, big up David and Sean. Also, what I think, AV Troops, again, we'll go around the panel on this one. I mean, I think we all love an Arsenal dig, so I better let everybody get one in. Look, for me, I'm not surprised. Look, they spent, what is it, over $250 million on the squad for Arteta? I mean, and then you're looking at us bringing in Perisic. I reckon Bastoni, it could be done this week. I mean, Fraser Forrester. And that's only improving the defence. And look, I'm not surprised that it's defence first because I thought that would happen because it was probably our weakest point this season. And look, for me, it's no surprise. They're going to watch us with Bastoni, Perisic, and whoever else we bring in here. It's going to be big names. I've seen rumours today that Tottenham have already approached Christian Eriksen about maybe a potential return to the club. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But of course, they're going to be salty, though, AV Troops. I mean, they're in the UEFA Cup this year, but next year they'll end up in the Europa Conference League if they don't get the signings right or they don't sack Arteta. They will end up in the Conference League, and they're only going one way. Since they moved to that new stadium, which they thought would bring them to the big time, they thought they would be elite, boys. They just haven't done it right. They've absolutely failed, and they're seeing their club going from, as this idiot Ty likes to say all the time, the Invincibles. I mean, honestly, you can't have a conversation without the guy bringing it up. But as he they've gone from the Invincibles.
He's almost like a wind-up doll. You know what I mean? You have to wind them up, and then he just goes, the Invincibles, the Invincibles, the Invincibles, the Invincibles, and he just doesn't stop.
They've gone from the Invincibles to unwinnables. They've gone from the Invincibles to unwinnables. I mean, no wonder why they're salty. Jack?
I mean, to be fair, he's not wrong because I think at one stage in the middle of us signing Perisic, there were a lot of Gooners, Dave, they were streaming about, Conte leaving while we were signing Perisic. And it just shows like what stories, they were willing to believe versus the stories that were actually happening. There were things that Fabrizio Romano was tweeting about Conte staying and Perisic coming. And yet they were going to be instead, maybe making 2-hour shows about whatever the Sun was reporting, whatever Fraud Sports was reporting. I mean, even Philip, I don't even have to tell Philip about that. I mean, it's just honestly shameful if you're going to be ignoring what the real news is happening and they just picked whichever news suited their narrative. So, Avi, I'm not really surprised, my man. Not really surprised. And to be fair, they aren't going to change, and they're going to continue to find some sort of narrative to maybe continue to call us irrelevant. And they thought that maybe even the North London Derby game was going to be easy for them because they didn't want to take us seriously. They just, I don't know. They just continue to make a laughing stock of themselves, Avi. But big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate support. And then Dark Sun G saying, Robertson came from Hull, so Spence is a must for me. It is a good point to be said that Robertson's numbers are pretty shocking in comparison. I don't know if they're shocking in comparison, but it's not like Robertson, it didn't have.
Jack, you can't say because one player came from the championship level and made it that all championship signings therefore are a good option. I love you, Dark Side G, but that's a straw man. That's like not straw. That's not straw.
But Sean, could I say something?
It's a silly comparison.
But Sean, could I say something that may change your mind?
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm in agreement with you in terms of Spence as a player. I don't rate him that highly, right? The only reason why I would want him is because he's cheap and he's homegrown. But if Conte wants him, and Conte said that is my right wing back,
of course,
for this season, which is what he has been saying. He's been saying that he wants Jed Spence.
I'll get behind it, but I'm not excited by it.
Fair enough.
Paratici excites me. Bastoni excites me.
I agree.
Those sorts of names excite me. A championship level player,
that
doesn't excite me.
But you never know. Maybe Conte sees something in him that we don't. That's why he's
true.
That's why he's Antonio Conte.
Of course,
it's the best form of optimism, Dark Century. I definitely agree with Sean.
I was going to say, I don't actually think it's silly whatsoever. I actually really don't, because you look at Robertson at Hull. You could look at him. He already had the engine. He already had that up and down thing. And Liverpool obviously seen stuff in the stats that he was producing and looked at him and seen what they could transform him into. Why can't we do the same with Spence? We all said we can't compete with Liverpool or with the likes of City and Chelsea in terms of financial. But what we can do is go down the route that Liverpool went down. Why can't we? We brought Ali from MK Dons. Look how quickly he settled in at the time. Now, don't get me wrong. He gave us a few good years, but for 3 years he was crap. But he came in. He settled in. We've brought players from the Championship before. Michael Dawson came from Nottingham Forest. Look at the service he gave Tottenham. You should not be right.
That's true.
But we can't say that.
I listen to a lot of players that speak from the Championship, that played Championship, and played Premier League. Yeah. The only thing they say is the difference is the speed of your mind. But there's no reason.
Dave, if all Championship level players, if we looked at all Championship level players and said, well, because one Championship level player made it, they all should, then every Championship level player would be a Premiership player. So it doesn't matter. The one thing I was
played the game. They're saying
I get it.
The Championship and the Premier League is the speed on up here on how you do things.
I hear you.
They say that's the only difference. It's not me making it up. That's what they say,
and that's fine. But what I would say is if we're going to go and buy Perisic on a free transfer, if we're going to get Gareth Bale on a free transfer potentially, if we're going to get Christian Eriksen on a free transfer potentially, we're signing Fraser Forster on a free transfer potentially, probably, then we've got more money now that's burning a hole in our fucking pocket than we've ever had in the lifetime of most of our Tottenham supporter trusts. We're going to go and spend 55, 60 million, whatever it is. Why don't we go and spend 50 million on a right wing back, right? Rather than going and buying £15 million unproven Premiership level player who's 21 or however old he is, who may or may not become the next big thing, may or may not. I'm not saying he won't, may or may not. Like if the right wing back is such an important role for Conte's system, and we're looking at buying 3 players left, right, centre, but we've got 250 million quid potentially in the budget. Why don't we go and spend 50 million on going and buying a proven, tried and tested right wing back? For me, Jed Spence does not excite me in the slightest bit.
But there's nothing to say they're not going to do it, though, Sean. Like, how do we not know that this guy isn't for the future? Every club, Real Madrid do it, Barcelona do it.
Man, they make future signings.
I'm all for buying. If he's going to be like the guy Alex Scott from Bristol,
could he be a Jack Clark sort of?
Yeah, but if we're going to go and we're going to go and spend 10 million on Alex Scott from Bristol City, right? But he's not going to come into the Premiership.
It could be the same sort of premise, though, Marcel. It might be. I think John or David is trying. The point David just made is that he could be like a Jack Clark sort of signing, which is like maybe this guy might just need a year or two, and then
hopefully he lives up
ready
to
for.
Though.
Yeah, but that
I'd rather us spend 50 million quid.
That doesn't excite me. To then find the middle ground between Sean and David, that doesn't excite me. If that's what he is assigning more for the future. Yeah. It just doesn't excite me. I wouldn't then rip on him though, and then just say that I don't know, because then there's a bunch of ifs, buts, and maybes, because you would still then want another wing back. Are you going to get another wing back? Probably not. So then maybe that is where like Sean's concern comes from, because then we're just stuck with Doherty, Emerson, and Spence, and maybe that might be good enough. Maybe that will be good enough. We'll find out. But in the beginning, you would have your reservations.
But the biggest problem this season, most of the season, has more so been over there. Oh no, sorry, actually no, it's not. I was going to say it has been the right side. Sorry, my bad. No, but look, for me, I just don't see the problem with bringing in Spence. If it's 15 million, it's 15 million out of a massive transfer budget.
I'm not concerned about the price. I just think maybe we're just not. We're just not. I guess, Dave, we're so used to these stiffy, sort of signings that, this one is,
well,
kind of.
Let me ask you this, Jack.
It's not really getting us out of the seat. Maybe is what.
Jack, if I may, let me.
I get that, but like Sean was saying, it's silly to think that he can come in, to compare him to Robertson, but it's not. Similar positions, one player's on the left, one player's on the right. Both have an engine. Both can get up and down. Both had a bit of end product before a top manager. Like with Robertson, went to Klopp, didn't take him long to develop him at all, and now he's one of the best left wing backs or one of the best fullbacks around the world. Why?
Dave, if next season our team looks as solid as it does on the left, Bastoni, Perisic, Sonny, and then you've got next to him Eric Dyer or De Vrij, and then you've got Romero, and in the middle you've got Kulusevski and Højbjerg, and the team as it looks, and then on the right hand side you've got Doherty. Are you happy? Probably not. Right? We could have improved. If it's Emerson, are you happy? Probably not. We could have improved. If it's Jed Spence, are you happy? Probably not, right? You're going to be worried. Like, I just think that if we're going to go after it this season, we need to go for. I'm all for signing Jed Spence if he's someone for the future. But
no, hold on. I will say this.
We're talking about Jed Spence, thinking that we might not go and get someone that's ready to come in. We might. You don't know that yet.
I'll
just add to this, though.
But if Jed Spence is the one, then I'm not.
Hold on a second. I just want to make a point here, though. If we do get all those players on the back line that you mentioned, like De Vrij, Bastoni, and then we have Eric Dyer, Romero, Sanchez, right? And then you have the combination in the left wing back with Paratici and Cess. That's a very good back line. You know what I mean? Not every team needs to have that world-class player. You know what I mean? Sometimes, like, even just having a Doherty in there or someone that does the job is all that you really need. You know what I mean?
As an option, yeah.
And in my opinion, I think Doherty was playing very well under Conte. I think Jed Spence, Jed Spence is just going to be that future signing. I think Conte might look to work with Doherty because, there's no saying, when you play with world-class players, your game is going to improve. You look at Henderson, Liverpool. He was an average player, but then once you start kind of adding some world-class players around them, he looked better. So, I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Well, look, I just trust Conte. That's all.
We'll let Philip in on it, and then we'll move on from Jed Spence because this isn't a Jed Spence show. This is a review. So, Philip, go ahead.
Good for Jed Spence.
To finish this off, listen, we have to be very careful here. If we sign 6 Italian players, right, that leaves us way short of our quota for home-based players. Yeah. So there's going to have to be some of the signings are going to have to be home-based. And that's right. That's why I think Spence is probably at the top of the list.
Yep.
Because he knows what else he's looking for. And if they all come in, there's got to be a counterbalance by bringing in home players. Now, maybe if he's one for the future or not, I still think if Conte wants him, I'll trust in Conte.
100%. 100%. Well, look, we'll move on from Jed Spence. I'll have to leave one of my Harry Kane questions out as well as we'll be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. So we'll move on to Antonio Conte, guys. The 56 points earned. Actually, I will ask the Harry Kane question. I'm only going to let one person answer it, and then we'll move on. Kane's form has completely transformed under Conte and has become one of the best players in world football, scoring 16 goals and 18 assists since Conte has come in. And by the way, he ended the season on 27 goals as well. What has Conte done to get the best out of Kane that Nuno failed to do? And we'll go to Philip on this one. We'll let Philip answer this one, and then we'll move on to the Conte one.
Tough question.
he talked to him. Basically, I think Conte came in, put his arms around Harry Kane and says, "You are my main man. Go do it for me."
Yeah.
And get your buddy Son to do the same. And look what's happened. They've reacted to a world-class manager, and they've done the business. Simple as that. He wouldn't do it for Nuno for whatever reason. Didn't get on with the guy wouldn't talk to him. Conte knows what side his bread is buttered on here. He knows the guys he has to keep or had to keep on his side. And the fact that he's won Kane over, and Kane, there's no longer any transfer rumours coming in about Harry Kane, speaks volumes for the relationship they've built up over the last 6 or 7 months.
100%. 100%. Could not agree more, my man. Could not agree more. Look, the 56 points earned by Spurs since Antonio Conte's first Premier League game in charge has only been bettered by Man City and Liverpool. We scored 60 goals, conceding 24 across 28 games in the Premier League, keeping 13 clean sheets, winning 17, losing 6, and drawing 5 games. Jack, what do you make of the job Conte has done and how we have performed underneath him?
I think like maybe the biggest point, because Dave, I mean, it's a big open-ended question and, I could take every single point away from everybody. But maybe the one point I would probably emphasize, Dave, is the fact that Conte was able to basically be to repeat that, Dave, basically since he's come in, has been the third best, or he's turned Spurs into the third best team in the Premier League since he's come into the football club, essentially, by the points, by the way you look at it. So when you kind of think about it that way, before even any transfers, even the transfers of Bentancur and Kulu, no matter how impactful we'll talk about them being and whatnot, you still have to look at the fact that like he just kind of worked with what he was given, and he still was the third best team in the Premier League, or turned us into the third best team in the Premier League. So I don't know, Dave, that's what really is the most impressive, regardless of those times when we were saying like, oh, should we play 3 in the midfield? Like maybe he needs to get more out of Winks, and like things like that. I don't really like how he's using Emerson, and like all these sort of questions that we gave him. I could kind of see where we were coming from at the time, but maybe when you take more of a bird's eye view at the whole thing, we were criticizing him about being the third best team in the Premier League, using those sort of dross players. Like, he is going to, make some some questionable decisions. He is going to, maybe do some things that maybe don't make sense. And I think that's the part that's most impressive for me, Dave, is just with the players that he had, with really, not very much, going his way, before he took the job. It's kind of impressive that he essentially turned Spurs into the third best team in the Premier League without really any backing or anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I agree. I think he's done an absolute amazing job. I think it's nothing short of a miracle. I mean, Marcelo, what do you think on the job that Conte has done and how we performed since he got here? I
mean, I said it from day one, and I love that you brought up that point about all the criticism he did receive this season, because it was a season without criticism from him. But the top managers, they respond well to criticism by sticking to their football. And I was saying that, people were saying, oh, why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do that? Man, because he's confident in what he does. He's confident in his formation. He's confident that he will make it work. And that's what the best managers in the world do. They make their philosophy work. And that's what he did. And I was telling people that, and that's what Sir Alex Ferguson does. That's what Pep Guardiola does. That's what I hate to say it, but even Jurgen Klopp, that's what he does. You know what I mean? They stick to their football, they stick to their guns, and they mold that philosophy within the club. And he's done that, and almost no season. I mean, he's basically, think about this. He basically has done what Arsenal has been trying to do for the past 6 years.
Yeah.
He come in here and he did it in a club that was full of turmoil. So tremendous job from him. Hats off to him. He's a
100%.
top class manager.
100%. And Shawnee, I mean, what's your thoughts? Because you were a bit conflicted maybe at parts this season. So where do you find yourself now at the end of the season on the whole situation? Oh, 1 second. Sorry, I took you on mute because I think you're fixing your chair or something like that. So
sorry.
I took you on mute there now.
With Conte?
Yeah, with Conte as a whole. I mean,
yeah.
What do you make of the job he's done? 56 points, only better by Liverpool City, 60 goals across this season, only conceded less goals than the games we played. Yeah. I mean, I think he's done an incredible job.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the job he's done and how we've performed underneath him as well? Because I think, look, I was just like, all season long, Sean, I was like, look, just what do you expect the guy to do?
Yeah. I was pretty heavy on him at times. Yeah. I didn't like his. Yeah, listen, I liked the results for the largest part. I didn't like his substitutions at times. I didn't think they made sense. I didn't like his decision to drop Hugo Lloris in the cup semi-final. I didn't like his decision to play Doherty at left wing back the first time it happened against. I think it was also against Chelsea. Maybe there's lots of things. I wasn't necessarily a massive fan of his substitutions, and I certainly wasn't a huge fan of his press media management. I hated that. I absolutely hated it, and I have, but at the end of the day, I stand by all of those things. I stand by the fact.
And you made him earn his money, to be fair, Sean, because that was your big emphasis.
Oh, yeah, he was
hey, someone's got to keep him in check.
Just to quote Sean, if I remember it, I think he made it. He had a mic drop. Sorry, Dave. He had a mic drop when he said something like, Sean, I'm misquoting you, but you said something like, if he's going to be paid the most, he's warranted my criticism for how much he's being paid.
Yeah, getting paid £15 million a year. That's like $375,000 a week. It's far more than I might be wrong on that, but it's about that. It's far more than Harry Kane. It's far more than Sonny. It's far more than anybody else at Club Tottenham Hotspur. So if you're going to get paid the big bucks, bro, then for someone who goes to the game, someone who puts my time into it, you're worthy of criticism, and I stand by all of those individual criticisms. I never doubted his ability. I never doubted his talent. But I wasn't a fan of the way he would handle the media. I wasn't a fan of some of those substitutions and decisions. But overall, of course, at the end of the day, the ends justifies the means. He got it done. I never asked for him to be sacked. I never said I wanted any other manager. I was always clear with my criticism that it was on an individual game by game or moment by moment analysis, and I stand by and still feel the same. That if he not to take it off topic, but Jurgen Klopp is the worst, sorest loser in the world. He is a horrendous loser. But would I like him at Tottenham in the future when Conte's gone? Hell yeah, because he's a winner ultimately. I just don't like the way that he handles loss. I didn't like the way that Conte handles loss. The flip-floppy, when we were in that win one, lose one, win one, lose one like routine, I hated it. I didn't think it helped anything. I didn't think it did any. It didn't settle anybody's nerves. It didn't. So I still stand by every criticism I ever made. But ultimately, the guy got the best out of the players, which is what he's supposed to be there to do. He can't kick a ball for the team. All he's there to do is to train them well with his coaching staff, pick a team, and then get players to play the very best they can. And when you look at the players on the pitch, Ben Davies had his best season in a Tottenham shirt. Eric Dyer had his best season in a Tottenham shirt. Matt Doherty had his best season in a Tottenham shirt. You could argue that Sonny had his best season. Right? Yep. So there's lots of players that had their best season. Sessegnon, definitely. For me, at the end of the day, the ends justifies the means. And I'll stand back and say, I still don't like it if we lose on the first game of the season to Burnley or whoever we're playing, and he comes out and throws his toys out of the pram and says, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. I'm going to be pissed off again because you're getting paid a lot of fucking money, bro. And we've bent over backwards to please you. Daniel Levy, a leopard never changes his spots. Daniel Levy's changing his spots right now to please you. So you've got what you want, get get it done, and then next season make it happen again, and then we'll see what happens. But he's not God, so he is worthy of critique, not criticism, but critique. And when it comes to the media management and all that nonsense, I stand by everything I said. But I think overall, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 for his season because he took us from where we were to where we finished, and that for me was on a massive upward slope. And so congratulations, well done. You've justified your money. Congratulations.
He's not a god, Sean, but he's not a Karen. Like he is.
I'll say this. A good thing that really got relegated because at least he won't be mad in the first game of the season.
He's my God, Sean. I'll never let you tell me anything ever.
I love him. I love him like you guys. But you know what? Like what annoys, what frustrates me is when I'm on a show with people and I go, "What do you think about signing Jed Spence?" For example, today we've had a great debate about it, and that's what we're here to do, right? Yes. That's why there's whatever there's 300 people, whatever it is, listening to us, telling us we're wrong, agreeing with us, disagreeing with us, but we're here to discuss. When people say, "In a day, doesn't matter, does it? Whatever Conte wants, Conte gets." Well, that doesn't leave a lot of space for conversation. Like we're here to have a chat about whether or not we think things are good or bad. And I think Conte he wasn't perfect all season. He did a lot of things that were fantastic. He did far more things that were fantastic than were flaws, but there were a couple of things, and I stand by those things.
He's still a god, though. Still a god. But look,
he's not a god. He's not a god.
I do understand what you're saying, and you know what? Look, you're well entitled to make him earn his money. And moving on to Philip. I mean, you can also give us what you think, of the job that Conte has done and how we've performed over him, and maybe you can move us into the next talking point, which is what is it that Conte brings that the players, fans, the board love about him, and that he gets 100% back in the market where maybe others haven't.
The guy has got charisma. I think that's the word to use. He's imprinted his personality on the club in a very, very short period of time. It normally would take a manager a lot longer to do it. It's the fact that he's done it at other clubs. I mean, he took Chelsea from also rans to league champions in one season. And we're all okay. I'm never going to call Spurs also rans, but I'm hoping he can do the same with us. That the next season we're going to be, there or thereabouts, championship wise. Now I'll agree with Sean there. The one thing I didn't like about what he did, and it's probably the only thing, I felt whether he was misquoted, it was his use of the English language didn't come across right, but some of his press utterances were a bit suspect, and created doubt in our minds whether he ever even wanted to be at the club.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very nice. You're after losing the match and you're down enough, then the manager comes along and more like he did after the Burnley match and questions should he be here. So I hope let's hope he doesn't have reason to ever make a speech like that again next season. But I hope that he's learned from that But then again, he was getting his message across to Daniel Levy. You do things my way or I'm walking. And that seems to have worked. It seems to have worked. We'll know in the next couple of weeks or next couple of months with all the signings coming in and whether all this money that's been made available is actually for transfers. But no, I think, he's okay. He's not perfect. I would certainly give him 9+ out of 10 for what he's done. Because let's face it, on the 2nd of November last year, or whatever day Conte came in or Nuno was sacked, how many of us in a heart of hearts said we're going to get top 4? No, not too many of us. On the front, we probably kept saying.
I kind of did.
On the front, we sort of kept saying, yeah, we're going to do it. But in the heart of our hearts, we didn't know what to expect, And I will, I'm no Daniel Levy fan, but I'll take my hat off to Daniel Levy for acknowledging the problem early doors, getting rid of the problem, and replacing it with probably the best fixer there is in the game. Yes, and we only can stand to benefit from that.
Right. Well, look, let's pass that one around the panel because that is actually one of the questions. I mean, how much credit do you actually give Daniel Levy for pulling the trigger? And look, I suppose probably because he feels more passionate about this than anybody else. We'll let Sean go first, then we'll go to Jack and bring Marcelo back in, and then we'll get on to the next topic, and we'll start with Marcelo and Jack. But Sean, I mean, take it away on that. How much credit do you give the guy and the board?
Listen, I've answered this question before. I'm not gonna be like defiant or defensive as you probably think I would be. Like I credit him where he's due, and I criticize him where he's due. I've only ever challenged people that never give him any credit, and so on this one, I think that he listened to the weight of public opinion, which was he's got away with it for a long time. He's got away with being able to hide behind the doors, and like I said, the biggest turning point of the season was the Man United game. And when Lucas Moura was subbed off against Manchester, the only player that was playing well, and Nuno got subbed off, and the fans were looking at Nuno and going, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then they turned on to Daniel Levy, and I think that was like a key, clear moment where Daniel Levy, for the first time, hasn't seen 30 people outside the stadium, with a banner up, but they've heard 10, 20,000 people going, "What the fuck is going on, bro? Like, sort it out." And so, like, by hook or by crook, Daniel Levy, he made a massive judgment call at that point. He sacked a guy who he had just employed and had to pay out 14, 15 million pound of his money, of our money, whatever you want to call it, but it's the club's money. The third or fourth sacking within 2 or 3 years to get rid of him and then bring in the most expensive manager that Tottenham have ever had, right? And whatever happened in that conversation, which is why, again, I was pissed off with Conte a little bit during the press conferences, because clearly Conte had a conversation with Levy at the Second Chance Saloon that they maybe didn't agree on back in the summer. But Levy said, "Okay, whatever you want, you're going to get." Or to that, something was more malleable in Daniel Levy's approach the second time round. And so on that basis, I give him credit. After that, I step back and say, "Daniel, you've done nothing else until January." And then in January, I give Daniel Levy credit for changing the habit of a lifetime. And we're all creatures of habit. And no one likes to be told they're wrong, least of all very wealthy, very successful people like Daniel Levy. So,
True.
For him to step back again under the weight of public pressure and go, "Okay, over to you, Paratici," which he's never done before. He didn't do it for Hitchin. Didn't do it for any of the previous guys. I give him credit. And then to go and get the 150 million quid now, I give him credit, right? I'm not going to say all is forgiven. I'm not going to sit here and tell all the Levy out people you've been wrong. I'm going to say this is hopefully the chance for all of us to come together and say, whether you're Levy in or whether you're Levy out, the guy has done exactly what you wanted. Like what Matt Hayes said on your show, boys, last week. It was a mic drop moment. I don't understand why anybody would still be negative about Daniel Levy right now. There's no need to be until we see what happens. I give Daniel Levy credit where it's due. And in this case, I give him credit for listening when the weight of public opinion was so noisy that it was deafening. And then I also give him credit for parking his ego at the door and then giving over control of the reins of the club when it comes to on the pitch exercises thus far to Paratici and Conte. Now let's see what Paratici and Conte can do. And let's hope that it works out well. And if it does, then that also means that in the future, Daniel Levy will be less likely to get involved in issues that he's not very skilled at. Go and figure out how to get the naming rights. Go and figure out how to get Lady Gaga playing 3 times a week when we're not playing at Tottenham. Go and figure out how to make money for the club.
Yeah.
But hopefully, this one instance where he's parked his ego will be a turning point, and where he will from now on trust the people that are in charge of the football matters to deal with the football matters. And for that, right now, I give him credit. But I don't give him credit for the success that we've had. I give all that credit to Conte, to the players, to Paratici.
Interesting.
Mic drop, Sean. Mic drop.
Jack, do you want to come in on this next?
I have a good opinion, but honestly, I think that was a mic drop. So honestly, not the Irish Hotspurs words. Those are my words from the little plug in the comments there. So, not on behalf of David, on behalf of me. Probably the thing I would add to that brilliant, very level-headed sort of approach from Sean there is just the fact that in my eyes, Dave, with Daniel Levy, I don't know, I don't really know how much credit I can exactly give him apart from recognizing that he needed to sort of change his ways from the time period. At least he's not so deluded that he didn't at least see the weather outside. I mean, Sean, at least pointed out to me, even when I was trying to make a point about Colorado's weather, at least I looked outside, before making that inference. At one stage, it felt like Sean, with Daniel Levy, we couldn't even give him that sort of credit that he would even look outside to check the temperature, for anything. And at least he did this time. Yeah. At least he proved that he can check the temperature. At least he proved that he can, maybe, I don't know, fix things, but he can make the illusion that things are getting fixed when he sees that people are upset. I don't know if I give everything to Daniel Levy though, Dave, because I actually, again, as much as it is a joke, I give a lot of credit for Nuno being so shit that it actually got Conte being hired, because Levy liked hiring Nuno because with hiring Nuno, it meant that he could ensure mediocrity. But Nuno was so bad that he couldn't even ensure mediocrity for the club, that it got Levy's name being shouted in the stadium for probably the first time ever. And it forced Levy to sort of change his ways. And would Levy have changed his ways if Nuno was that shit? I just don't really know. So I think I'm going to give it to Nuno, Dave. I think, trick question, trick answer. I think I'm giving it to Nuno more than anything. I think it's Nuno that forced. Well, Levy changed his ways. So, or not saying completely changed his ways, but Levy is changing or showing a side to himself that we didn't know before, or at least didn't think he was capable of. But that's only because Nuno, I think, showed that side of him. So that's what I would say.
Yeah,
100%, Jack. 100%.
Well said,
because he was so garbage unintentionally. It's not like Nuno intentionally tried to.
You know who I give credit to, bro? Don Paratici. Don't get it mistaken, bro. Levy, yes, he changed his way, but why did he change his way? Because of the Don, bro. You know what I mean? Him with his shades. He is a Don, man. He walks in with his shades and he changes the culture of the club. That's what he did. All of this would not have happened without him. It would not have happened. Because here's my theory on it. He never wanted Nuno. He wanted Conte from the off start when he came in here. He was his first choice. He wanted him. And guess who said no? It was Daniel Levy. He said, no, the way Conte runs, it's not the way we run. It's not the way we do business. That's what he said, right? Paratici said, okay, you want to do it your way? We'll do it your way. Here's Nuno. Now come back to me. Come back to me. That's what he did, bro.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it.
He was playing 4D chess, bro, this whole entire time. He's like, here you go, have Nuno. And then Levy in a couple weeks comes back and he's like, look, we'll do it your way, okay, man? Just please help me out here. And Paratici said, I've forgiven you for my sins, son. And then he just solves all of our problems and he gets Conte in. And now we look like, we're a real club again, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, so for me, all the credit goes to Don Paratici because I feel like half of these things wouldn't have happened if he wasn't here.
Do you know what? I agree.
Well said,
I agree with that. I think, I do think you've got to look at the end of the day, right? We all have to understand. We asked Daniel Levy to bring someone in on the footballing side of things. So I think the fact that he did do that with Paratici, you have to give him credit for that. But I do think a lot of what's gone since, and look, getting the money available and stuff like that, I do think he is maybe starting to change his ways, but he's taking steps. there's a lot more steps on the ladder to be able to climb. But I do think Paratici has definitely put Daniel Levy in a very good light as well in terms of the players and the business he's been able to do. Getting Conte in here, during the season where Conte has never actually ever took over a team halfway during the season before. It's the first time he's ever done it because he usually likes the preseason to work with his players and everything else. So I definitely think, I think he's all made might drop moments there. I mean, Philip, anything else you want to add to the situation before I take some of these super chats?
No, I think you've covered most of it now. I mean, I think Levy was pig-headed and obstinate for so many years. Didn't listen to the fans. Didn't listen to what was being, said in the media. Now he was forced into a position where he saw the way the club was going under Nuno. He had to do something. I mean, I give him credit. He's done what he's done, and it's for the benefit of the club, and it's going to benefit us in the future substantially. And leave it at that. I mean, I still think it doesn't forgive all the sins of the past, but certainly he's absolved himself, in my mind, by bringing in such a brilliant manager as Conte.
Yeah, 100%.
Jack, Dave, just before you move on to the super chats, can I just ask Jack, do you remember how we used to, when we lost a game, we used to have the pie, the blame pie, and we used to say, what was the allocate? How much of a slice does Levy get versus everyone else? Now we got the credit pie, right?
Does it taste better or sweeter?
It tastes
so
sweet.
Much better, bro. I love this. I'm loving life right now, man, because we're gonna get Bastoni. Oh,
how much of the credit pie for this season do you give to? A slice goes to Levy, a slice goes to Conte, a slice goes to the players, a slice goes to to Paratici. What percentage of how big of a slice do each of them get, Jack?
I think it's more like how many slices, right? Because we could judge it like a pie or like a New York pizza, which I think comes with 8 pieces. So I would actually give like 3 pieces or 4 pieces to Nuno. I'm not even kidding. I really think Nuno was so garbage. He was so bad that he got sacked soon enough so that there was enough time for Conte to get us into top 4. Like, I don't think people are appreciating how bad
it was
Nuno
fast,
was, but how
rapid.
much that benefited us, how bad he was.
Sometimes I forget he's our manager, Like, every time I have to be reminded once in a while that he managed Spurs.
I think 3 to 4 slices go to Nuno. I actually think then the next most slices go to Daniel Levy. So I would say the second most slices go to Daniel Levy.
Wow.
Then it goes to Paratici. I think it's just shared amongst Paratici, Daniel Levy, and Nuno, and then definitely a slice or 2 for the fans as well, especially the fans that were chanting Levy out and spread that message for sure.
Yes.
So we got an extra large pizza. Yeah,
right. But guys, I do have a lot more questions.
Yeah, sorry.
I am conscious of timing and stuff like that, so I do want to get through these super chats, and then we'll crack on with more questions. AB Troop says Basuma, Tielemans, McGinn, and McKennie. Sean, you know what I feel about McKennie, man. Let's see what you guys think. Choose one for Spurs. We'll go around the panel. I'll pick a name. For me, I think, look, obviously innocent until proven guilty, but I think that wipes Basuma off the rails for me. Tielemans, I have to say, I do like McGinn and I do like McKennie. I would go with Tielemans. I've been a fan of this guy ever since he broke into the Anderlecht team at 16 and played European football. Where, he went to Monaco and stuff like that. I've been a huge fan of the guy and I was raging when Leicester got him. So for me, Tielemans, Jack.
I'll keep it short. Basuma is the best player out of all of them, but just because I don't want to answer to him until I see that he is innocent, I'm going to go with Tielemans. I'm going to go with Tielemans.
Tielemans. Brady?
Yeah, if he wasn't in danger of getting banged up, I'd go for Basuma, but Tielemans.
Tielemans. That's 3 for Tielemans, AB Troops. 3 for Tielemans, Sean.
Basuma.
That's 3 for Tielemans.
I think we're all secretly for Basuma. He is the one that he seemed all.
I would actually.
I think I'll be okay.
Basuma anyway. I would. Genuinely, I would. Marcelo?
Oh, I'm a big fan of Tielemans. I'm like you, David. I'm a big fan of him. Ever since he's been to Leicester, I think recency buy-ins. I would have taken all of them. I would have taken all of them, but Tielemans is definitely number one for me, even over Basuma, even with the case.
100%.
I think he's great.
Yeah.
Toxic
100%.
headshot saying Basuma's case closed. He's innocent.
I haven't seen that. That would be
I still prefer Tielemans, but
maybe it is. But still, I would still prefer Tielemans. But big up, Heavy Troops.
Big up, Avi.
Really appreciate the support, my man. Absolute legend. Sorry no one voted for McKenny, my man. Sorry about that. But look, he is a good player. He is a good player. Big up, Heavy. The Bottom Dude says, rather spend 25 million for Nahuel Molina. I won't be surprised if we are linked with him in the coming days. I mean, Jack, I think this is good towards you.
Yeah, this is that Udinese guy I think that he mentioned before, and I've done a bit of research on him. I think he actually has like some of the most chances created or like some of the most assists or something of like any right back or like something in like Europe. And he's had an exceptional season. I think he's Argentinian. I'm not sure how old he is, but I would reckon he's quite young. So to be fair with that big conversation we had about Jed Spence, which you definitely heard the bottom Duda, I'd probably sooner maybe, take someone like Molina who might have a better chance of cracking into that first team maybe sooner than someone like Jed Spence. Completely agree, my man.
But they are the Bottom Dude. I mean, let us know, Jed Spence or Nahuel Molina, my man. Let me know where you're bearing with that. But big up the Bottom Dude. Really, really appreciate the support, my man. I'll have to go and do a bit of homework on this guy. But big up the Bottom Dude. Richard Black Dog says Virgil van Dijk, most improved player under Conte.
No.
I think Ben Davies is.
Davies.
I think Ben Davies. Ben
Yeah.
Davies.
Look,
100%.
I actually don't even think I don't think he's been that good this season. I think everyone knows my feelings on
No Van Dyer, Dave?
Look, I think we should be upgrading on him rather than a Davies, in my opinion. I understand getting in Bastoni and likes to play that position, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see Bastoni moved into centre back within a couple of games with Davies continuing off as left.
No Van status, so he doesn't get Van status for you, Dyer? Doesn't get Van Dyer status?
No, look, when we're winning, Jackie gets the Virgil van Dijk status, but when he pisses me off, that goes out the window very, very quickly.
It's moon boots.
Very quickly.
I think he's like a dead Dyer. I think he's like a dead Dyer, because there's those two different Belgian and Danish or whatever names where it's like Van and Duh. So I think he's a dead Dyer, not a Van Dyer.
Virgil
not as
Dyer.
good enough to be a Van Dyer.
Look,
Here you
I'm
are,
not
Richard.
going to get on people's cases that love him and stuff like that. I'm not going to do it. I mean, everyone has their favorites. I follow Kane blindly. But I don't want to hear it when he screws up next
Harry Kane's a little bit better of a footballer, though.
When he costs me, expect me to go ballistic. Cuba99, big up. He says, and big up Richard Black Dog. Really appreciate support. Cuba99 says, I'd happily take Pereira from Leicester at right wing back.
That's actually a great call. You know what? That's crazy.
If you're still watching, let me know, though, because to be fair, this guy, he started off the season well, but he was out of the squad with a hamstring
Injuries, yeah.
But since then, he was not in the squad for a good few games, on the bench for most of them, and since he went out on the 20th of November, he's played 1, 2, 3, 4.
He hasn't
5,
played a lot.
6 games.
What's weird about him, Dave, you're spot on. It's actually very weird that, even when he came back from that big injury, like he didn't really make a crack into the team. But I would say about Ricardo Pereira. Someone has something
not me.
background.
That's not me.
What I would say about Ricardo Pereira, he actually had that Moussa Dembele sort of, kind of like whatever, I don't know, reputation about him in the squad itself. A lot of people were asked, I think in the Leicester squad, who like the best player is or like who the most technically gifted player is. And they all said Ricardo Pereira. They said like he's the guy that's like just unbelievable in that team. So maybe that tells you something that at least his teammates do rate him.
That's a great shout, though. I didn't even think about him.
Interesting. I just don't. I think the last couple of years, I think he's gone off the boil compared to, when he did the impact he first had. But look, interesting shout. I mean, he has Premier League experience, so I can see where Kuva's coming from with it.
Kuva was all up for Jed Spence a minute ago.
He doesn't want him anymore. He doesn't want them anymore.
Come on,
I guess we
Kuma.
convinced him.
Little bit of
like the
consistency, bro.
Big up, Kluber, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Really do. Benedict Hampus says, how long do we think Lloris has left as a number one? I think, look, the 2-year contract he signed, I think you'll see him for 2 years. And I think after that, next season after Benedict, I think then we have to have his replacement in. You're talking reaching, I think, 38? I think that's getting on in age then, And for me, I think 2 years left. Because ideally what I want to do is next summer bring in his replacement and just get to kind of work with Hugo Lloris for a year. And Hugo has said he wants to help bring in his replacement. He wants to help his replacement as well. So I think 2 years and it'll be done, Benedict, my man. But big up, Benedict, brother. Really, really do appreciate the support, lad. We've got Tyler D. Big up, Tyler D. He says, question time for the group. Big up, Tyler D. I love that. He says, if we could only sell one player this transfer window and none could be loaned out, who would be out and who in to replace? For me, it's quite simple. Harry Winks is the first one gone, the only one gone. The likes of Alessandro Bastoni, I would give them part-time jobs in the camp and train with the under-21s if that was the case. But Harry Winks is my biggest bugbear in this team. I think that's who I want gone. Jack?
Harry Winks out, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic in. Easy.
Oh, yeah, player in. Yeah, player in, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
That's the 50 million quid. That's the 50 million quid that you need to spend, right? I was asking you earlier.
Yeah.
Where do you spend 50 bar? There it is.
Yeah.
Sergei. Bring in another itch. That's what I would say, Tyler. What do you say, Philip? Who would you get out?
Oh, well, I suppose it's club favourite, Harry Winks. But I'm just after reading somewhere there where, whether it's true or not, that Spurs have put a price tag of 20 million on Lo Celso to Villarreal.
Yeah,
it seems a bit low to me anyway. But anyway, who to bring in? Well, I mean, as a direct replacement for Harry Winks, I haven't even thought of anybody.
Who would you like?
Because whoever comes in to replace Winks is going to be a squad player anyway. It's not going to be a first teamer. When you think about it, I suppose, if you're going to bring in a midfielder, and the talk with it, now again, I've changed my track on this one before, is maybe Ericsson, bring him back.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he's up for it, but there seems to be a lot of talk about it anyway, whether it's going to happen or not.
Interesting. Sean, yourself, I mean, one out, one in?
Yeah, I guess Harry Winks. I mean, I feel like I don't want Ndombele just sitting on because if you can put Harry Winks on the training pitch and make him train by himself, and then still have someone in your squad that's English and all that nonsense, right? So I feel like I'd rather get rid of Ndombele permanently. I don't want to see him come back.
Yeah.
And in terms of my person coming in, it would be for his position specifically. I think I'd like to see Konrad Laimer from LB Leipzig. I think he's amazing.
Darius would love that. But Sean, I would say, I hate all these nuanced answers. A nuanced answer about Levy, now a nuanced answer about Harry Winks. I don't know.
Sorry,
I'm not like this. You had to say yes, Harry Winks out, but yeah.
Okay, then Harry Winks.
In my opinion, I'm actually going to go with Ndombele. I know you hate him. I hate him too. I know we can't stand him, but at least Harry Winks can go on the pitch of football and somewhat play. Ndombele, he's not going to play for us ever again, especially with the way he's been treated, right? Which, it is his fault, right? He's never going to – his attitude stinks, and I think he brings that toxic mentality. I think with Harry Winks, he's such a small fry that I think we can just, like Sean said, let him train with himself and kind of just use his homegrown status, right? So at least there's some use to that. But in Ndombele, him staying, not only are we going to pay those big wages, but we're also going to have a player that literally has no value of us whatsoever. Yeah. So, in my opinion, I like to see Ndombele go, and Milinkovic-Savic, and that would be perfect.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big Tyler D, you never put in yours though either, my man. So let us know who your one out and your one in.
Guys, can I just quickly ask before we move on? Have you seen what's happened at Saint Etienne tonight?
Honestly, I couldn't give a shit, Sean. We're here for a season review. I could not give a crap
okay.
what's going on at St. Etienne.
Well, what happened?
Well, they got relegated on a penalty shootout into from Ligue 1 to Ligue 2, and their fans ran on the pitch and started throwing flares at all the players. It's on Twitter. It's madness, absolute madness. But sorry, Dave.
No. I just honestly, I couldn't give a shit what's happened at St. Etienne. I really couldn't. But big up Tyler D, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Absolute legend. Ben Kaufman says, 5 great guys having a great conversation. Love it. Big up, Ben, my man. I really do appreciate the support, lad. Big up, Benji. Everybody do get over and chat.
A few different people have put that comment, and a few different people have said more or less the same thing. So really appreciate that, Ben. Really appreciate that. A lot of people have enjoyed the conversation so far.
It's pizza tasting over there on Ben's channel this week. Big up, Benji, my man. Really appreciate the support. I'll be in there for it. I'll definitely put my votes in. Scorpion fan for life says, great show, guys. Big up to you all. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Fan for life. Glad you're enjoying it, my man. Big yourself up. I really appreciate the support, brother, and all the kind words. It really does mean a lot. Aussie Spurs and Juve fan says, hi, guys. Great show. Look, in the Italian media, they say it was all Paratici who brought Conte to the club, but Levy did give some power to Paratici. No, 100%. Look, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, Danny Levy had to go and get Paratici, so I think that's where you've got to give him the credit there. But apart from that, I look, it's a bit like what Marcelo said, with Paratici, the signings he's been able to bring in, getting in Conte, he's close to Conte, also flying over there. And what I would say going into this summer, because other people, Steve Hitchin, other managers have worked under the Levy regime where he was in control of that side and not a guy in the football, in that sort of industry. And there was like, it was tough for them to work under, but Paratici has since gone and says, look, you've got to back this guy. You've got to give him what he wants, and we're going to do it. I do think a lot of credit has to go to Paratici. And look, I'll just take Dark Sun G's super chat, and then we'll come back to this one, and we will start talking on Paratici, my man. Big up Aussie Spurs. Dark Sun G21 says, Tielemans, because Gooners want him. Imagine a steal. That would be absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable if we take him in, my man, especially off Arsenal. That'd be absolutely unbelievable. Dark Sun G, big yourself up, brother, my man. I really appreciate support. Anything to rub it into them, to be honest. Absolutely anything. It'd be absolutely priceless. But big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Big yourself up. But yeah, we'll go back to where's Aussie Spurs super chat. Anyway, yeah, there it is. So look, we'll go on to Paratici, and it's a question I have, to be honest with you, and it's, for me, the question is as we know, we finished fourth and qualified for Champions League football next season. How much do you attribute this success down to having the January transfer window we had, bringing in the likes of Bentancur, Kulusevski, shipping out the likes of Ali, Ndombele, Lo Celso, and who were deemed surplus to requirements on the Conte? We'll start with you on this one, Shawnee, with Paratici. How much of the top four do you attribute to Para?
How many pieces
of the pie? Quite a few. I think he's been excellent. But you know what? It's been one season, one transfer window under Conte, right? So I don't know how much you can really reflect on the previous transfer window, because the previous transfer window, all those players were bought or sold based on clearing deck, which is fine, but also on bringing in players for a Nuno system, or for something that maybe resembled even a Jose system. So I don't know how much credit or critique you can give to like Brian Hill. I'm not sure how much you should really give to Emerson Royale. He was bought as a right back for a back four. I don't know that you don't like. But if you're not going to credit him for any, or not going to criticize him for anything that happened in the summer because it was bought for a Nuno system, then you probably can't really give him credit for Romero either. Right? I'm not sure how you want to factor it up, but so far I think it's just a work in progress. It's an exciting work in progress. I like the fact that he's got his first choice guy. I agree with Marcelo earlier when he said that that Romero was his first choice. That Conte was his first choice, and obviously, and I actually really liked what Marcelo said as 4D chess, in that he goes, "Okay, fuck you. If you're not going to do it my way, I'll get you someone last chance."
No, do it your way. Yeah, and we'll see what happens.
See what happens. Right?
That's what he said. We'll do it your way, and then, he gave Daniel Levy an option. That's about it.
In terms of like getting rid of Ndombele, getting rid of Lo Celso, getting rid of who's the other player you got rid of?
Toby, Soko,
and Dele Alli, right? I think that they were all very, very necessary departures, and the two players that he brought in were absolutely instrumental in transforming the team. People say that Tottenham is a Harry Kane or a Heung-min Son. It's a two-man team. It's not anymore. Maybe it was, but it's not anymore. Like the team has been transformed in the last, sort of 25 games of the season by having far better quality, composure, and a sense of calm in the team through Bentancur, and having Kulusevski is just like I said at the time, for me, Luis Diaz was never the right option. Luis Diaz was almost a smokescreen. If you want to give him 4D chess credit for Nuno, you give him 4D chess credit for Luis Diaz, right? We got Kulusevski in instead. Luis Diaz is not the player that everyone thinks he is. Kulusevski really is. I'm so happy we got him. So for me, at the moment, I would give, depends on whether you want to kind of reflect on the whole thing. Either way, I'd still give Paratici a solid, at least a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10. I think he's done really good stuff, and I'm excited to see what he's doing. The only thing I would also like to see from him, the gap in my scoring system, is because he does seem to rely a little bit too heavily on his knowledge of the Italian league, which is great. I'd rather him be an expert on the Italian league than the Slovenian league. So, it's a good thing that he's an expert and he's got relationships in a league that actually has things to offer us. But I'm yet to see him go and find a superstar from the Danish league, the Dutch league, the German league, whatever. Time will tell. Give him an 8 out of 10. But I'm very okay with people that are also the jury's out. I'm happy with him so far, but I'm also very happy when I hear people say, I'm not, hang on a minute, let's just wait and see. I'll go, yeah, I completely agree with that. For me, he's done a really good job so far. I'm really happy with the way he's cleared deck and the way that what he's brought in, I think generally has been a success. And where he's brought players in that weren't a success, like Galini. Galini didn't work out on the pitch, but he wasn't a first-team player anyway. But also, I was speaking to you about this earlier, Dave, on the phone. I genuinely think that there's intrinsic value in him being a part of the dressing room. He's a real team player, and there was nobody that was happier for Sonny than him for getting his golden boot. And that kind of stuff does really help the overall ecosystem that is a dressing room. And so for me, listen, time will tell. This summer for me is when we can start to really judge. But right now, I'm very happy with Paratici, and I think he's played a massive part in our transformation.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, another mic drop moment and another good analysis of the situation. Philip, yourself, I mean, where do you stand on Paratici? Do you think what we've done this season would have been possible without him?
If we hadn't signed Kulusevski and Bentancur in January, we would not be in the Champions League next season. Simple as that. So from that point of view, the guy's done a great job, and I think he's only getting started now. To be honest, I think this is now he's got a manager in that's able to dictate terms to Daniel Levy. That gives Paratici not carte blanche, but it gives him more license to get in the players that both Conte and himself want, and all they need to do is to get Levy's agreement for the price, not for the actual signing. The actual choice of player is now being made by Paratici and Conte. And I'm hoping that Levy has no power of veto over that. So all he needs to do is agree to the price. And if that's the case, Paratici is going to go from strength to strength, because Bentancur and Kulusevski now, geez, they were, okay, it helped they knew each other from Juventus. And that's why I'm hoping that Paratici and Bastoni will know each other from Inter. So they're going to hit the ground running. There's going to be no getting to know you period. So it's a cute move. And okay, take Sean's point about maybe over-reliance on the Italian league. But, if the players are good quality, I don't care where they come from. And if he can pick up a couple of gems at the right money because he knows that market inside out, all well and good. I don't think there's many Slovenian players that we need anyway.
100%. And look, Philip, I believe you have to pop off. You're up early in the morning, man.
Yeah, 6 a.m. start in the morning, so I better.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing at 6 a.m.?
Driving to Dublin.
No, nice. Safe
How far to drive?
It's about 2.5 hours.
Oh, not too
from
bad.
here. So the wife is giving me evils here, so I get better.
Yeah, better let you go, Philip. Don't
better make the coffee in the morning. No, better make.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great. I'm sorry I have to leave actually, because this has been a really first class discussion.
Yeah, I loved it. It's been great, isn't it?
And keep it going. Well, I'll be watching the rest of it on playback tomorrow night. So
don't watch it in bed on your phone. The wife will be super pissed off.
The phone, I can't bring my phone up to the bed. It's banned.
I wouldn't
I'm under the thumb, as you can see, so I better go.
I would better let you go. We don't want a divorced Philip. It won't be a happy Philip. So Philip, thank you so much for your time this evening, my man. I'm going to see you again very soon.
Pleasure, lads. And listen, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
See you later.
Big up,
Legend.
Philip.
Catch you, Philip.
Jack, we'll go to you on Paratici. I mean,
how much credit?
You've made top 4 without him. How much credit? How much? Like Sean says, how many slices of the pie do you want to give him? 5, 10?
I think Sean had a really good answer. I would probably, just to keep it again, kind of efficient, because I think I've taken a lot of time. I would probably give, of the 8 pieces, I'd probably give him 5 pieces. He gets more than half the credit in my eyes, Dave. He gets way more than half the credit probably. But if I were to be level-headed, I think I would give him 5 pieces. I think you would be really naive as well as like a bit stubborn to give him less than half of the credit, because in my eyes, Dave, I've said this before, if you're going to criticize Paratici, then I do hope you were criticizing Hitchin with the same breath, or, 100%. With the same microscope. But in my eyes, it feels like people were never criticizing Hitchin, but the moment Paratici comes in, they all of a sudden become the best criticizers or, critics of directors of football in the world. All of a sudden, everybody has, an expert opinion on how, transfers work and everything all of a sudden. But it felt like, it wasn't that way under Hitchin. So in my eyes, if we're going to criticize Paratici with a really heavy microscope, then I hope we were doing the same thing.
Where would you criticize him?
Or at least I hope that we now have the hindsight of doing that with Hitchin, considering what Paratici has now done. Sorry, Sean.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Where would you criticize him?
Done. Sorry, say that again. Now I interrupted you.
Where
all right, Sean, go.
Listen, we all can look at like the great signings, right? The Kulusevski, the Bentancur, like we go, this is obviously a win, etc. Like in the last, it's forget the summer before. Like right now, is there anything where you would criticize him? Is there anywhere where you can sit there and look at Paratici and go, and I'm talking about since January. Is there any part of Paratici's job thus far? Yeah, because I think.
Well, he hasn't done a thing wrong. He hasn't done a thing wrong since Kulusevski and Bentancur. The thing you would criticize him for are perhaps the Bryan Hill signing, but then you can only you have to give him the credit of the fact that he was signing for a manager like Nuno, and Nuno likes young, talented players that he can be able to, control and maybe not have, to deal with, the big stars. So the Bryan Hill signing made sense. And also I think Lamela just needed to go, if you ask me. I mean, I'd done anything for 8 years.
Yeah.
And then in the case of Romero, he got that right. Galini, we needed a backup keeper that was better than Joe Hart. Whether he's better than Joe Hart's up for debate, but we needed just someone else than Joe Hart. And then the rest of the signings, like Emerson, can you really like I said, if you're going to criticize the Emerson signing, then you better be looking at all the Steve Hitchin signings, because Emerson would be the last person on your list, if you really were to look at it that sort of way. So maybe the January signing, or maybe the Emerson signing too. But here's the thing with Emerson, he's going to have sell on like we're going to be able to sell him for at least 16, 17 million by the looks of it.
Get most of your
so
money
you
back
make most
worst,
of your
yeah.
money back. Like you make most of your money back. So what's the big deal with like everybody being up in arms about the Emerson signing? You know, and I would just say, I think, Dave, you give him 5-6 pieces of the pie. I think you let him have most of that pizza. I bet he probably ordered margarita, and he's just going to, just wolf it down, Antonio Conte style.
He's one full man for sure. Marcelo, what's your thoughts on Paratici?
Oh, he gets the whole pie, bro. He gets a 10 out of 10. For me, he made this happen. He made top 4 happen. Look, as much as Daniel Levy did change his mind and that contributed to it, but if we had someone like Steve Hitchen in charge, we would have been screwed this season. Look what Steve Hitchen did to us. He brought us from Champions League to Conference League. You know what I mean? And Paratici basically had to come in. People have to understand what type of mess he was in. We were a sinking club. Yeah, there was so many bad apples in the dressing room. There was, so many past bad signings. We had no pull whatsoever. We had Nuno as a manager, no pull, Conference League. So, imagine how hard it'd be if you want any player of talent, you basically had to overpay for them. But somehow he even got that Romero deal down. And in my opinion, look, as bad as Emerson has been, he's still an upgrade to Aurier. We said this last season in the player ratings. He still is an upgrade to Aurier. And I think it showed. And, I think, Emerson had some good games. So even in a terrible moment, he still somehow got the best out of everything, in my opinion. I think Brian Hill, like you said, was a Nuno signing. It wasn't a Conte signing. I think when you see Kulusevski and, Bentancur, that's a Conte signing. You know what I mean? That's a signing that Conte would really want. So, like, in my opinion, like, I think he's done everything he could have done. So he gets a 10 out of 10, and he succeeded, flying colors. The Conference League to Champions League. That's massive, man. That's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? And just for me quickly, I mean, look, I've always said this. The rebuild was going to have to start somewhere. And I mean, we have to understand it. That no matter what, at some stages we're going to be left short. Look, no matter what, I find, no matter what anybody does at this club, we're always looking to find faults or look for something to give out about. Sometimes you just don't have to find criticism for somebody, aka Harry Kane. But for me, when it comes to Paratici, I mean, he cleared the deck in the summer. He got rid of Toby Alderweireld. Okay, some people, a great player for Tottenham, but he was 33, 34. He brought in Romero, upgrade. We got in someone that like, because Alderweireld's last season wasn't the best at Tottenham. Brought in Romero. He got rid of Sissoko. That guy couldn't pass or shoot a fucking football. Got rid of Aurier. Yeah. Every second game, he was causing us goals. Every second game, whether it was giving away stupid penalties, free kicks, and he's done it consistently since he's been here. Gazzaniga, Joe Hart, got rid of them. I wouldn't say one fight because the deal was already in place before he came in that Steve Hitchen put in, but he got rid of a lot of players. I know some people don't like the Lamela team, but if we're being honest with ourselves, yes, okay, under Jose Mourinho, that last season he was okay. But for the previous 8, he didn't really offer anything. He cleared the deck and got rid of big wages, some players that were over the hill, and a lot of players that just weren't at the technical level for Tottenham Hotspur, which then built the foundation for us to be able to do the business we've done in January, which is getting Kulusevski and Bentancur. Now, a lot of people are going to call them rejects. A lot of people are going to call them panic boys. No, it's not. We were linked with Kulusevski in December. We were linked with him in December, in the start of January. We had our targets picked out. Yeah. We had to wait for Juventus to sign Vlahovic, to sign Zakaria, so that we could get them in. Whether people like it or not, that's how the January transfer window works. But he got in players that would improve this squad. He's identified 2 areas, biggest problems. Centre midfield, we can't even pass out from the back. We're in absolute shambles. He'll go and get Bentancur. Right wing. Nobody was really offering too much. Nobody, for years, it's been a problem at this club. Lamela's tried, Bergwijn's tried, Lucas has tried. None of it's really stuck. But he went and got Kulusevski. And for me, I just don't think top 4 would have been possible without this guy because of the players he got rid of, clearing the house, and then the players he brought in January. But you also look at the players he got out. Ali, Lo Celso, Ndombele. Okay, we didn't sell Lo Celso and Ndombele, but what we did do is we put them in the shop window. They were never going to be used by Conte, but we put them in the shop window. Now Lo Celso has a value. Okay, Ronald McDonald, Lord of French Fries, is a different story altogether. But at the end of the day, you know, he put him in the shop window, and he won't be gone here this summer. We have to remember, Aurier didn't find himself a club. You know, there was no clubs that wanted to take him. Paratici said, well, you're not hanging around here for the summer. Your contract's gone. Out you go. At the end of the day, we need someone that's been ruthless. So for me, I just definitely don't think top four would have happened without him. I don't think Conte would have came to the club without the link to Paratici already.
Yeah,
I think a lot of what we've done in terms of getting to top four, that foundation has been brought in by Paratici because he's bringing in proven players. Okay, people talk about Emerson, but if he didn't step in them games towards the end of the season, we wouldn't have got top four. And Serge Aurier, definitely, we've seen what he's had to offer. He wouldn't have helped us get top four. So if you look at Emerson over Serge Aurier, it's an improvement. Kulusevski coming in. Okay, some people say, okay, if you want to say he got the Brian Hill deal wrong, but he rectified it within the next window and he brought in Kulusevski. So at the end of the day, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's a shrewd operator. And for me, top four wouldn't have happened if he didn't admit to his mistakes and correct, but also clear the deck and start the rebuilds. Or start the rebuild by clearing out the players he did in the summer. It's very easy to look at the players he brought in and go, is he a Don based on that? But if you compare them to the players that we shipped out, you look at them, they're an upgrade. They're actually an upgrade on what we got rid of. So top four wouldn't have been possible without this guy because we would have kept going down the same old route that we've gone down. Steve Hitchen was here, spent over 300 million on players, and it got us into the mess we've got in terms of players that just were not good enough technically and stuff like that. And this guy's had to completely clear that because football is a business. Every business works under budgets, wage budgets, transfer budgets, even Man City's. They're maybe higher, but they still have budgets they need to work in. And in order for this guy to get the rebuild going, he had to clear the decks. And that's exactly what he done. So for me, I think it definitely wouldn't have been possible without him. I don't know if any of you guys disagree.
Dave, how many pieces?
No, I agree.
How many pieces?
I agree.
Marcelo gave him the whole pie. Would you give him the whole pie? Not even anybody gets to eat. You know, Paratici gets the entire pizza to himself.
It's chicken and ham pie, Jack. I mean, I wouldn't be sharing it anyway.
Chicken and ham.
Yeah, it's a lovely pie, Sean. Lovely pie.
Chicken and ham.
Strange choice.
It's an Irish pie.
Dave, how many pieces? How many pieces?
Look, I think, look, the manager coming in, Conte, the way he done and his improved players, I think, look, the way I see it is 20%.
That sounded like a 7-piece, sort of rant. That sounded like a 6-piece, sort of rant.
No,
I don't know about 8 pieces, but
I think, look, 30% players, 30% manager, 30% Paratici, and then 10% Daniel Levy because he's the one that got him.
He doesn't get half the pieces. I think he gets more than half the pieces. Marcelo thinks he gets more than half the pieces.
Yeah, look, maybe he does, but you can't underestimate. It's not easy for a player to turn around from Nuno into Conte as quickly as they did. It's not easy for a manager to come here and do the job that Conte has done, improving the likes of Dyer, improving the likes of Davies. With the limited amount of numbers he's had to work with, but overall. I agree. I just think it wouldn't be in Champions League if this guy didn't come in and done the job he's done.
On a pizza,
people are liking their chicken.
In a pie or in a pizza?
No, on a pie, in a pie, inside a pie.
Well, we were talking about pizzas.
Oh, a pizza. Yeah, I'll take on the pizza. But look, I love pie, so and I'm dyslexic, Sean. Allow it. I'm dyslexic.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's because of these two boys here that are in America where a pizza is called a pizza pie. It's not
we just want different things to eat here.
There's confusion with the pizza pie.
In terms of these pies of blame, clearly we just want to order different pies of blame to eat.
People have gone off in the chat about pie. They really do love pie over here. They absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But look, guys, maybe we'll move on. I have 2 more questions that I want to get you, and then we'll hand out some awards. And we won't be too much longer, guys. So, look, Sonny signed a new contract this season when things look bleak. Son was voted Tottenham Player of the Year, and he won the Golden Boot. He had the most non-penalty goals. He was Tottenham's biggest goal contributor with 30 in the English Premier League, 23 goals plus 7 assists. Has Sonny proven he's world class? Has he stepped out of Kane's shadow? And will he be Spurs' main man next season? I mean, we'll start with you on this, Marcelo. We'll let you kick this one off. I know this guy gives you an absolute raging hard on, so we'll let you go first with this, and then we'll pass it around.
Well, I've been always saying Sonaldo is world class. I mean, his stats, speaks for themselves. But I would say he is world class. In terms of being Spursman next season, look, I just think no matter what form Harry Kane is, he's always going to be Spurs' main man. Just simply for the fact that he's one of our own. He's, England's captain, and he's also a fantastic player. So like all those three things blending together, he's always going to be Spurs' main man.
Interesting. We'll go to you next, Shawnee.
Is Kane going to be our number one guy next season? Yeah, 100% he is. Well, yeah, I mean, the two of them are. I don't think your Perisic isn't going to come in and be like he's not going to outperform to the level where everyone's going to call him the best player at Tottenham. Yeah, of course. Yes, Harry Kane or Son. And I don't care which one of the two of them gets the golden boot or the golden assist. I don't care, but it's going to be one of them, and I'm happy with that. Status quo, let it resume. Let's just up the ability for other players to contribute and help those guys fly even higher.
Perfect.
100%. Maybe a bit of a different question geared towards you, Jack. Has Conte helped Son become a more prolific player in terms of his end of season numbers, like you see there, the goals, the assists, with the way he's used them?
Yeah, he definitely has brought out the best of Sonny, but I have a feeling that Sonny kind of went into this season trying to prove something, because he did look good under Nuno, and it is hard to look good under Nuno, and he was actually quite consistent, I thought, under Nuno, and was probably our best player during those time periods, and was probably, to be fair, I don't know if we've ever seen this before in the way that we were really bad during that time period, and Sonny was kind of putting us on his back. He's kind of just putting the team on his back there. I'm not sure if Sonny's ever really done it in that sort of way before. Yes, he's done it in certain games where he's put the team on his back, don't get me wrong, but when has the team looked that garbage and and Sonny's just decided to just carry us through 3-1-0 wins. He carried us through those 3-1-0 wins, for Nuno's, manager of the month. So for me, Dave, I know Conte did, to answer your question, he did bring the best out of Sonny, but I just have a feeling Sonny was on a vengeance or something this sort of season. He had something different, in the water or whatever you might, whatever analogy you use, because I feel like he was trying to prove something this season. I think he did prove it. I think he did prove he's world class. He already was, like Marcelo said, but he definitely proved it, not up for debate anymore. He definitely stepped out of Kane's shadow if he already wasn't out of it, especially by being the most consistent player of our club this season. And then in terms of being the main man next season, might as well be indoctrinated into the Sonny Fan Hall of Fame here, Dave, because I might actually say that he could be the main man next season, because they might love me for this, actually, because with Kane, Dave, he had the best goals and the assists the last season before. Now Sonny this season kind of traded off with Kane and was kind of more the main man and, kind of the most, consistent. What if maybe Sonny just does it all again? It's kind of up, which one is going to be, the big goal tally, which one's going to be the assists, tally. Bets are on, because as much as Harry Kane, has been that main man, Sonny kind of proved himself, and you could see him doing it all over again. Maybe the way that Conte likes to play, Sonny ends up getting more goals anyway, so I don't know, Dave. I'm going to put it on Sonny. He's been the key player for us all season. As much as Harry Kane has stepped up dramatically, Sonny's just been impeccable this season. Even his creative numbers alongside his scoring numbers have been impeccable. So I'm going to say Sonny stepped out of Harry Kane's shadow, going to be the main man next season, and already proved he's world class. There you are, Dave.
Yeah, look, I definitely think Son, he's been our most consistent player. I think he's been fully deserved of player of the season. I think the way Conte has used him, if you go back and look at a lot of the games, Conte is now getting him to use his raw pace and just get straight in behind and getting other people to find him, rather than looking at Son to get on the ball and be the creator plus finisher, which Son also has in his locker. He can't do it. Against Arsenal, he flipped the script. He got Son to be the kind of creative player, pick up the ball and stuff like that. But if you go back and look at a lot of Sonny's goals this year, and I think the numbers will suggest the way Conte is using them is so much more effective for Son by getting him to go in behind, getting Kane to be the guy that, you know, puts the ball in behind for him and stuff like that. Originally, I did say I didn't think Son would be able to get back to them sort of numbers. But I am going to change my mind on this one purely because if we do get we've got Paratici, I'm pretty sure Bastoni is more or less in the bag. So I do think that will definitely aid him down that side. And I think, I think Kulusevski, Kane, and Son will all get more goals with the quality of delivery coming in from Paratici. But what I will say is I think he can reach them numbers again. But we have to remember, this is Harry Kane's first bad season. And we say it's bad. But he still finished the club's top scorer across all competitions. Yeah. So I do think Kane next season will hit the heights again. You have Haaland coming into the Premier League. And I think, next season is a massive one for Sonny. And I really do hope he can make these sort of numbers again. I really do hope he can put himself into the golden boot running again. I think he can with Perisic coming in down that side and helping him. But I just don't know if Kane will have that much of a bad return in front of goals again because it is his worst season in about 5-6 years. But look, I'm absolutely buzzing. Son has done what Kane hasn't done, which is signed that new contract. He showed his allegiance to Tottenham, and he absolutely loves this football club. So hopefully he can replicate what he done this season, next season, because I think him coming out and getting that golden boot, I think he'll feel a bit more superhuman in himself. I think he'll have a bit more belief. And sometimes just getting that sort of them accolades, that recognition can really push a player on to another level mentally, physically, and stuff like that. So I think I'm expecting a massive, massive season from Son next year. And I think he'll definitely be in the running for our most influential player next season. It depends again, though, on what season I think the big man has up front. Anyone disagree? Great. Let me know.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, good. I'm good.
No, I just had to get my little moment in there, Dave. So in case, if I died and, in case the Sunny fans had one that helped me into heaven, that little speech that I had there would get me into heaven, that sort of.
I must be having mic drops everywhere. But look, I do want to talk about the fans before we do start giving out some awards, guys, because the fans have been through the mill over the last couple of years. You've had COVID, match day going fans that all they live for is that weekend, haven't been able to go to fans all around the world, struggling. But since, fans have been allowed to be back in the stadium, there's been some apps, Sean, you will know more than any of us. Some of the absolute unbelievable atmospheres that have been created, but also the worldwide fans, the messages of support to the players, the club, the manager. I mean, how important a role has the fans played in the journey this season?
A massive part, mate. It's not. Listen, it's not often that. Well, you know what? It's a weird one. It's a weird one to call out because we've only had the new season for 2 seasons, for 2.5 seasons, and one of those seasons was completely ripped away from us because of the COVID thing. This season was the first season that we had the fans there, and we went on a march. And listen, I always sit in this. 9 times out of 10 when I go, I'm in the south stand, and the south stand's always crazy. But I went to the north stand. I was in the north stand, which is usually the family stand for the Arsenal game, and we stood up the entire game. I was behind the goal, and I couldn't hear myself think. I couldn't hear myself scream. I had a camera. I was trying to record everything. I had a camera right in front of me, and I was shouting at the top of my voice just because otherwise it wouldn't have been picked up. It was wow. It was insane. It was deafening. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not expecting Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to remain at that level next season, every game. Of course, when we're playing against, I don't know, Macclesfield in the cup, or when we're playing against, Nottingham Forest at home, it's probably not going to be like that week in, week out. But I think this season under Conte, in the new stadium, with all the stakes that were on the line and the expectation and the opportunity, all that stuff, I think it was the first time that I've seen the stadium come alive like since back in the day when we would play like an Arsenal game at White Hart Lane, like 5-6 years ago, or when we got, in the at Wembley, when we got to the Champions League season at Wembley, I went to see the Tottenham Barcelona game, right? And I got a scarf. I've got a scarf right here. It's right here, from that game, right? And it was at Wembley. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. I think that now we've got the best stadium in the world, and the noise does reverberate around, good and bad noise. So when we played against Manchester United and we lost 3-0, and that noise was going at Nuno and then turned on to Levy, it's deafening both ways. Both sides, it's deafening. It's deafeningly silent when there's no noise, when everyone's sitting there nervous or it's just not working out and everyone's a little bit grumpy. That's deafening as well. And when we're positive, it's insane. And so the fans, to answer your question directly, Dave, the fans were absolutely instrumental. How much of the pie do they get? A massive slice of it. A massive slice of it. Not just in the stadium, because I know a lot of people that are watching don't get a chance to be at the stadium. But I'm not suggesting that you're not part of the noise, because you are part of the noise. Yeah. You're a massive part of the noise. You're a massive part of the community. And what you think, how you feel, it gets through to people that are local. And we feel the same when we push that noise out to the stadium. So there's no one that's not part of the story. Every one of us that have bled and cried tears, and we bleed for the club. This season, it's all been felt in the stadium for the first time, and it's been a wonderful experience to be a part of.
Yeah.
Mic drop, Sean. Beautiful.
Absolutely. A round of applause, my man. Absolute round of applause. Watching miracles. A great praise there to the fans. Everybody give Sean a big up in the comments. I mean, Jack, yourself, how big of a part as all the fans had a part to play in this season?
Massive part. And maybe the part that just hadn't been mentioned is just that when it comes to like us not really being a team that, plays the most silky sort of football, like the likes of Liverpool and Man City, we did need the crowd to get us through a lot of games, even under Nuno, like that Aston Villa game where we came back, after they equalized, Sonny just took it down the other end and, set up, I think, Lucas for that own goal. Like, had the crowd maybe not been there, would really Sonny find the motivation to do that? Would we really have held on? All those sort of things. Like the 12th man, Dave, absolutely carried us through a lot of performances this season and probably made certain performances. I'll be honest here, and I think Sean probably might agree with me. A lot of performances were probably made better, or at least looked like they were better, because the crowd was so into it and they motivated the players and also even took the other team out of the game. Like there have been a lot of times where the crowd has even taken the other team out of the game and made, it easier for our own players. So I don't know, Dave, I think you could even say that they practically won us games this season, not single-handedly, of course, but, really helped push it over the line. And we didn't even have this sort of crowd under Jose for the most part. We didn't have it last season. We didn't even have it for the majority of this season. There were some moments when we didn't have full capacity stadiums. So just imagine, Dave, next season with all these signings, Antonio Conte backed, it's going to be a fortress again and probably even more powerful.
No, 100%. 100%, my man. And Marcelo, yourself, about the fans, lad? Big part to play this season?
Listen, I gave the whole pie to Paratici. The fans get a mozzarella sticks and a pie, bro, because you know what? We ran through
the wings.
A shithole of the season. You know what I mean? So many roller coaster rides, but we stuck through it, man. And like Jack said, sometimes we were that 12th man. I think for that North London derby, we were definitely that 12th man. We put so much pressure on Arsenal. Basically, the team didn't even beat them. They beat themselves. Arsenal beat themselves at the end of the day. So I think the fans been fantastic. Fantastic season for us.
Yeah. I definitely think so, lad. Look, I think fans have been absolutely amazing this season. I think it's been the toughest season in a long time. And I think, look, I think no matter what, people have stuck by the club. People have stuck by supporting. And look, don't get me wrong, I think it's been pushed to the limits, but ultimately all that support really came to the fore near the end, and it really did drive on this team, drive on the project, and drive us all on to get top four. So I just think all the fans should give themselves a massive round of applause, or at least a pat on the back. I think fans have been absolutely brilliant this season, and I definitely don't think top four would have happened without some of the support in the last, especially in the run into the season. So for me, I think all fans definitely give yourselves a massive big up. Tyler D says out he wants Ndombele and in he wants Rice. I can dream, right? I mean, look, everyone's allowed to dream. Absolutely, everybody is allowed to dream, my man. But what I would say is if you don't like being disappointed, I wouldn't be dreaming that big, to be honest with you.
Get out the burgers, bring in the rice, Dave. That's what Tyler wants. Get out the burgers, bring in the rice.
100%. Big up, Tyler, on that. Really appreciate the support.
Appreciate your patience.
We move into a few awards here. I have put up a poll about player of the season. I just threw in who I wanted: Son, Romero, Davies, and Kane. So look, my vote, I think, look, without a doubt, I've got to give it to Son. Jack?
Goes to Sonny. Second place. Second place goes to Kane. It actually goes to Kane. Second place goes to Kane.
Yeah.
I know he's not in the list there, but it does go to Kane.
Interesting.
But I did say Sonny first in case anybody maybe just tuned in or something. First place goes to Sonny. Sorry.
Sean, yourself?
Is it player of the season, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, player of the season.
Yeah, it's got to be Sonny. Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Is Marcelo, player of the season?
Here comes the sun. Do 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 do. Here comes the sun.
Oh wait, I can do it. I won't do it, but I can.
He's young men's son.
Of course, it's Sonny. 100%. He's been, in a dark time, he's been our shining light, man. So, Son.
Shadi about to whip out the guitar. Absolutely love it.
No, I put it away because I know we're getting late. I was like, yeah, so that's this. I can play it, but I chose not to.
Well, interestingly enough, Sonny takes 94% of the votes. Romero takes 6%, and Kane and Davies get none. So interesting. So Sonny absolutely walks that one. I think it's fair. Unsung hero, players that maybe don't get enough praise. I'm going to go with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I think he's definitely one for an unsung hero.
Is there four choices? Is that a pun? Is that a poll, or is it just anybody?
No, I can't. I get it. I fucked up, lad. I didn't write the names down before, so I don't want to make them up. But I'm going to go with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg as my unsung hero. I don't think he gets the praise he deserves. Jack?
Dave, you're after my own heart. And Ellie, I apologize. I'm not going to give it to Pierre. I just can't do it this year.
What is that?
It's from Moondog. It's a big.
Is that what Moondog's been? Yeah, he's been reaching out to me. He said he can get me a picture of my dog. Onto some.
He can get you something like this, my man. He got me in the shape of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I mean, to each his own. Some go for Højbjerg, some go for Bugsy, but
I gotta get Bugsy. I don't want Bugsy.
That's what you crested, Sean. No,
I didn't request it. He just said, "I'll get you give me a picture of Bugsy. I'll get it done." He didn't give me a chance for a better player or something.
Maybe you should get Emerson. For it. But no, fortunately, Ellie, not giving it to Højbjerg as much as, I want to agree with Dave. I've given it to Ben Davies for unsung hero. I don't think Ben Davies has been given enough praise. And in fact, I think it's a bit unfair that we're trying to replace Ben Davies sooner than we're trying to replace Eric Dyer, in my opinion. I think Ben Davies has had a much better season than Eric Dyer. So that's my feeling, Dave. Ben Davies.
Interesting. Surprised didn't go for Højbjerg there, Jacko.
Tried to, but just couldn't. Ben Davies deserves it in my eyes.
Interesting. Shani, I mean yourself, who's your unsung hero this season?
Just to be different, because I actually think that Pierre-Emile Højbjerg probably should get it because he is the unsung hero. Because you don't really have often hear him getting too much credit. But I actually think that Benjamin Davies, I think, was someone that played out of his skin all year. He was good in the air. He was good defensively. I remember the few mistakes that he made that cost us was slips, not forced errors. They were unforced errors. And so I'd go for Ben Davies, I think. But it's a close one because I think Højbjerg had and the fact that he played literally every fucking game and has played every fucking game for 2 years. Højbjerg's up there, but I'm going to give it to Davo.
Interesting. That's 2 for Davies, 1 for Højbjerg. Marcelo, where do you sit?
Harry Winks. No, I'm just kidding. No, I gotta go with David. I think Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg. He received a lot of criticism midway through the season, early in the season.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't his fault. I think David and I talked about it. I think Harry Winks was most at fault, leaving him dry. And I think he got a lot of the blame undeservedly. And the fact that he was still able to play every game and, build himself up again is incredible. So for me, Højbjerg.
So there we are.
I love this. Putting a tear in my eyes.
Saying, people are saying, what about Lloris? We'll take Ellie. Ellie's going with Højbjerg. Deciding for big up Ellie. Højbjerg wins. But look, there's definitely a good shout for Ben Davies. I think he's definitely been.
The shout is good. The Hugo shout is good too, because we all say we all just take Hugo for granted. So that is a good shout.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. We have a goal of the season. And for me, look, I think my goal of the season, purely because I absolutely loved it, was who was it against Leicester? When Romero went through their two challenges.
Oh, you changed your mind.
I've changed it.
You've stolen my answer. That was my answer. And you come on board the Sean Shine. Get on board the Sean Shine train.
Well, I'll stick to my original then. That's okay.
You can join me.
I will join you because when you asked me, I forgot about it, right? But since then, I've watched it a number of times, and I just love Romero going through two people on the build-up to the goal and absolutely everything else. So that's mine.
And Emerson had a part to play, and Kulusevski before it finally fell to Sonny. It was a good goal. Great goal.
100%. Jack?
Any goal is made harder when Emerson has to touch it, that's for sure. But for me, I actually stick with Lucas's, and from the beginning, I think Marcelo was there for that watch along, if I'm not mistaken. I think I go with Lucas's against Norwich.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, that was
I think Luke. I just remember just still to this day, really getting out of my seat. And when I actually think about it, that goal still really comes to my head, despite that being a very immemorable sort of result. That goal always kind of stands out to me. So I'm going to give it to Lucas just because it was a very random goal by a pretty unspectacular season from Lucas, but a spectacular goal in itself. An absolute rocket.
100%.
And what did he do? He did that thing where he did the 1-2, spinned around a player.
Yeah.
First time. It was spectacular.
It was a brilliant goal. That was a fantastic goal for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Shawnee, your goal of the season?
Yeah, same as yours, mate.
Nothing else to say, no? Same as mine.
Sean likes the purest. Remember, I made fun of him because I said he likes the purest, sort of goals. He wants the whole team involved. He wants that perfect goal. He wants that perfect goal.
It wasn't. It was Romero. You have to, if you can find a way to include Romero in a memorable moment.
Yeah. Then
the way you do it is through that goal, because he was such a beast all season. That we how many times, guys, did we watch the watch-alongs and we would just laugh and go, "Oh man, look at him! He's just breaking legs because he's bored." Sometimes he's happy to have his own leg broken by dragging the ball back a moment. And so you want to include him in a memorable moment, but are we going to have is there a category for the memorable tackle of the season? No. So if you can find a way to include him in the memorable goal of the year, you can. And in that particular goal, it was sublime. He smashed the first guy. He smashed Sayunshu the second time. Sayunshu's a big fella, big Turkish fella. Fucking loves getting involved. Didn't want to get involved on that one. Romero slides through. Sayunshu pulls out completely. Pops it to Emerson. Emerson's fine. Kulusevski does a little jink left, little jink right. Jogs it in. Shoulders someone off. And then pops it through to Sonny, who then he doesn't hit it first time. He could, but he doesn't want to. He lets it drag it around his entire body and pops it in with his left foot. It's just a perfect goal. There is, for me, if you're someone that just loves a screamer, so be it. But there's 5 or 6 screamers that you could pick. You could pick Sonny's first goal that day, or you could pick Sonny's final goal of the season. There's loads of screamers. But when it comes to technique, sublimeness that appreciates certain players and certain. For me, that one all day long.
It's more unique.
And Marcelo, yours?
Mine is a little bit outside the box. It's actually when Harry Kane scored against Liverpool. And for me, the simple reason is a celebration.
From the Tongi pass?
Yeah. Yes, from the Tongi pass. And listen, it was a nice goal, but for me, it was a celebration. Because I don't know if you remember this, David. You know, when Conte first came in, Harry Kane wasn't exactly still flying in all cylinders. Yeah. You know what I mean? He still kind of looked a little bit, I don't know, you know what I mean? Still down. But after that Liverpool goal, I remember I even texted you. I was like, David, he's back. He's back. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just that celebration, he kisses the ring, the slide. I mean, that was just vibes, man. You know what I mean? I got up from my seat when I saw him score that. I mean, I love that goal.
Yeah. No, it was. I loved every Kane goal this season because I didn't know whether it was going to be his last, but I just love the Romero tackles. So for me, yes. I agree with Sean. I think that is my favorite goal of the season. And guys, what's your favorite memory of the season? And then we'll start with Marcelo and work our way back around this time.
There's been a lot of good ones, but I would have to say probably, I love beating the Scum, but I'm gonna say the Leicester game.
Good pick.
Interesting. Shawnee, yours?
Wait, sorry, what was the question?
Memory of the season. Doesn't have to be anything. Memory.
Memory was the Leicester City game. I've immortalized it on my channel. Poor Jack on a 60-second delay. Poor guy. He sat there, and I remember at halftime during the game, I had the option of either like sticking with Dave or sticking with you, and one of you had to do it. And Dave's like, "No, stick with me."
No, Dave was ahead of me. I remember. Process of elimination.
Yeah, I was like, and that for me was the memory of the season, purely because also like it's immortalized not just for the goal, but also because I got a piss stain on my trousers that is always and forever going to be on my. When Bergwijn leaves the club, I have to update my intro music on my channel because no longer can I have like that particular commentary because Bergwijn's no longer a player, and also it means I can finally get rid of the piss stain. But for me, that was the moment. It was insane. 2 goals in 3 minutes, 2 goals in 4 minutes. It was mad. It was absolutely crazy, and I couldn't have thought of a better way to share it. And the fact that Jack was just listening to me and Dave going crazy and then kind of going, what's going on? What's going on? And he was celebrating with us before he'd even seen it. It was perfect in its weird way. It was imperfect for Jack, but it was perfect in its weird little way. Yes. And I loved it. And that for me will be my memory of the season.
Beautifully put.
Yeah, that it was. Jack was waiting on us to see what was going on. Jack, what's your favorite memory of the season?
It has to be the West Ham one for a bunch of things. And Ellie giving us the tickets, watching a game with Ellie, to meeting everybody, to experiencing a game like that for the first time in my entire life. Just unforgettable. But I would say, just apart from all the sentimental things, it was also a game where I was shitting my pants, I'll be honest, Dave, because it was like a game where, like, had we lost that, top 4 was definitely over. The momentum would have all been gone. Like, there was a lot riding on that game. So for that to be my first ever game, I was kind of shitting myself because I kind of wanted it to be a Norwich. I kind of did want it to be a Burnley, something that maybe I didn't have as much pressure on. So I'll just say, just because it ended up passing in flying colors of an evening, I'll go with that one, because everything went according to plan. Everything went perfectly. That's all you can ask for.
Do you know what? For me, I've got 2, and I can't separate them. One is that Leicester game. The last-minute winner. I think, the 3 of us absolutely enjoying it. I think it was absolutely incredible, and maybe a bit of a turning point this season, maybe. And then the other one, of course, was actually being at that West Ham game. I mean, first of all, to spend the day with yourself and Ellie, Jack, I mean, was absolutely unbelievable. The way we dominated the game and bet them as well, and then the atmosphere after, I'll never, ever forget it. It was a massive part. I was absolutely buzzing that I was a part of it, and thank you, Ellie, for that, by the way. But, they'll be my 2 most favourite memories, I think. Definitely being at the West Ham game was definitely an unbelievable one. And then the last award, guys, is signing of the season. I'm going to kick this off. I'm going to say Romero.
So tough.
I'm only saying Romero because I know what answer Jack is going to give. I think I know what answer Sean is going to give. So I'm going to be the odd one outside here. But I do think since Romero come in, I think that defense have gone on to a new level. I definitely think he's improved it. He makes me love watching defending.
Yeah.
He makes me love defending. I love his proactiveness about it. And I definitely don't think we would have made top 4 if he wasn't in this team this season. But you could say the same about all the signings. But for me, I will go with Romero. Jack?
I want to answer Romero. I want to answer Kulusevski. It's what I'd be more passionate, with answering. But I have to answer Bentancur. If you look at it at the end of the day, if we didn't sign Bentancur, we would have been going the rest of the season with Harry Winks in midfield. Skip was injured for the rest of the season. Of course, we didn't know that at the time, but Skip was injured and was going to be out for the rest of the season. Had we not signed Bentancur, it would have been Harry Winks alongside Højbjerg for the rest of the season. As much as I think Romero and Kulusevski are probably players that I enjoy to watch more and are players that I kind of like more, you can't look past that in my eyes. Like, if we had to endure that much more of Harry Winks for the rest of the year, you just
it's a great point.
And to be fair, Dave, I mean, we were saying this till we got blue in the face. Like, Spurs need to sign a deep lying playmaker, or at least a player that can receive the ball on the half turn and find players upfield. We knew Harry Winks couldn't do that. Højbjerg, because of Harry Winks, was struggling at doing that, and Højbjerg is also not really too good on the turn either. We needed someone to be able to do that. Bentancur did that, and I think that's the reason we're in top 4, if I'm to be honest. It's because we actually got a midfielder that could turn on the ball for once.
Yeah, look, I definitely agree with that. I think my how I felt about getting in a player like that. Shawnee, I mean, who's your signing of the season been?
I know you think I'm going to say Kulusevski.
Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say.
No, I absolutely adore him, right? But I'm factoring this on to Jack's point, right? How it turned out.
I had the benefit of hindsight. Yeah.
No, but it's true, right? But for me, if you could we have survived with Lucas Moura on the right up front instead of Kulusevski? Maybe we wouldn't have done as well, but we could have done pretty well because the drop from Kulusevski to Lucas Moura is this big. The drop from Romero to Sanchez is maybe this big. The drop from Bentancur to Harry Winks for the entirety of the second half of the season is this big. And so on that basis, as much as it's such a tight one, and this is another reason why you have to give
unfair
credit
to Kulusevski and the other ones because of that. Actually, it's almost unfair to them when you kind of think about it. Sorry,
but it's the way it worked out, right? But if Kulusevski never arrived, we wouldn't have done as well as we've done. But Lucas Moura or Bergwijn were capable, and I think if Romero never got back from his injury, Sanchez maybe not, maybe Rodon maybe, but with Harry Winks in for the entirety of the second half of the season, we would have lost like 9, 10 maybe 7 out of 10 of the games that we played. So for me, in terms of the impact, in terms of the necessity, and in terms of the just general performance, I think you have to give the signing of the season to Bentancur. But before I let you go to Marcelo, I would have to say this is another reason why you have to actually credit Paratici even more, because those 3 signings were so pivotal. All of them, like it's a flip. It's a flip of a coin, right? But you know that without if either of them, but both of them, all 3 of them, one of them wasn't there, then Tottenham would have been far, far, far weaker than we were. So it's a very close one. But for me, I think that the most important player of the 3 was probably Bentancur. So I'm going to go with Jack on Bentancur, even though I fucking love Kulusevski.
I was actually very shocked you didn't go for Kulu.
Well, I love him, but
I thought that's definitely where you'd be going. Marcelo, who's your signing of the season?
Kulu all the way for me. I mean, look, I think in terms of who was the more necessary signing, I do agree with all the panel here that Bentancur was probably the more necessary signing. I think who performed the best out of all of our signing, I think it's Kulu. True. I think performance-wise, his performance has been insane. And I think you can compare him to Lucas Moura because I think he is up here levels above Lucas. And he's only going to get better and better. You know what I mean? Like last season, what were we talking about, David? about Bergwijn. You know what I mean? Like, it's all well and good that he can track back and defend and, do all this, but he can't score goals. He can't create goals. He can't do anything in the final third. What good is he? We've been missing that link at the right wing so long, and Kulu came in and filled it. And then not only he filled it, it was a whole pint and a half, to say. So, yeah, no, Kulu for me all day.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, look, I think Bentancur wins. 2 votes for Bentancur. So Bentancur is the winner. Dark Sun G says Liverpool away, boys. We got top 4 and they lost the Premier League as well. Look, definitely a highlight for you with your father being a Liverpool fan, my man. You couldn't have them winning the league and us not getting top 4. So look, it's definitely a highlight, my man. I think when you look back on it, a lot of people were saying it was a point dropped, but not really. I think you look back on it now and it is a point gained for sure, my man. But big up, Dark Sun G, brother. Really, really do appreciate your support, my man. But look, guys, we have come to the end of the show. We have come to the end of the season review. We'll go around, let people plug their channels. Shawnee, you just keep growing and growing and growing. Even gained a few subscribers from here today. People saying they love what you have to say. So,
are they?
Yeah, you have people in the chat, to your channel. So, what's coming up, man?
Spurs Talk Show is where you can find me, guys. At Spurs Talk Show on YouTube, on Twitter. I do have an Instagram thing, but I'm not doing much with it. What's coming up? So more of the same. Like, the channel's growing insanely quickly, and I'm so grateful for everyone's attention that they're thrown my way. It means the world. Tomorrow we're going to do a. I asked Jack earlier for the name of the software where you can put like players in or people in categories, whether it and I think it's been used a lot for like who should we get rid of. I'm doing a show tomorrow night at 6 p.m. which is going to be of all of the transfers, of all of the people that we've been linked with, and there's everyone, like all the names you've heard of recently, but all of the players we've been like loosely connected with, whether you want to put them into certain categories. That's going to be the show tomorrow. But I'm trying to do 3 or 4 shows a week. I'm also carrying on doing my show with Bugsy, who's looking at me right now like she's furious with me because I haven't taken her out for a wee in the last 3 hours. But yeah, and then obviously over the summer, I'm actually going to be rebuilding my kind of a room downstairs where it's going to be a full studio. I'm going to be turning it into like a bigger deal. My channel I'm taking it seriously because of you, Jack, because of you, Dave, because of my love for this. I've like become obsessed with this whole thing. It's so addictive and I absolutely adore it. And so you can expect a lot more from Spurs Talk Show. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you could come over and check me out on the link. Spurs Talk Show is where you can find me.
No, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely, guys. Get over there. He's been a massive part of this season over here on the Irish Hotspur, guys. He's been absolutely brilliant as well. He's added a different opinion when nobody else was on that sort of side of the fence, and it's a hard thing to do. So he's come in and definitely made way for himself in the community, and I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And fair play to you, Sean. I'm loving seeing the growth of the channel, and hopefully it keeps going, my man. You've done it dignified. You haven't done it by having to pull people down or spread any fake things about anybody. You've done it the right way, my man. So credit where credit's due. And everybody get over there and smash that subscribe button.
And he's running it on his own, like at the end of the day, like which is I don't know what that's like, to be fair. So like I think credit to you.
I have help from people that are regulars on the show.
I know.
Jack, I know I've been asking you. I need you to come on and make your debut, bro. I feel awful that you haven't made a debut yet. You have to come over. You have to, please. And you, Marcelo. You haven't been on my show either, bro. Need to get you on as well.
As always, bro. You know it.
He's running it on his own, everybody. He puts also, I mean, most of the shows are really interactive in some way as well, like either with the tier maker he's doing tomorrow or with some sort of game or even just a good discussion. So I would say everybody show Sean the support that he deserves. Like
100%. 100%. Everybody do get over there and smash that subscribe button. Jack, where can people find you, my man?
Bastoni is going to be announced, so I would say just keep an eye out on this channel as well as flatcapeurotalk, because we will be doing not only the big stats breakdown as to what Bastoni will bring, but Dave and I will get our towels ready for maybe what might be also a highlight reaction as well. Definitely going to be excited about that. And then also I think we're going to try to make this a weekly thing, but with Kieran and Darius, We're going to be doing kind of weekly sort of discussions, sometimes about like Spurs and transfers, sometimes just about kind of the greater European football world in general. I think the next conversation we're going to have is actually predicting and debating who the next £100 million player will be. If you were to guess and put all your money on who the next £100 million player would be, that's where we're going to be discussing. So if that sort of thing sounds interesting to you, check it out.
No, 100%. Everybody, a lot of everything you need transfer-wise. I've been saying it all season long. It's your Bible this summer, guys. Brilliant breakdown on Paratici over there as well, including the highlight reel. If anyone wants to see what maybe this guy can offer to Tottenham, get over there, check it out, and smash that subscribe button. Jacko or Marcelo, where can people find you?
To Gangsta25 at Twitter. And if you want to watch, you can watch me here at the Irish Hotspur, and obviously at Sean, anytime he invites me. So that's really it.
You'll be. I'll speak to you afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, look, there you have it, guys. There you have it. An absolute whopper stream. Another one. People saying they absolutely loved it. Really appreciate all the kind word, guys. Really does mean a lot to everything we do over here. A massive thank you to you guys out there for viewing, for liking, subscribing, super chatting. It is a massive, massive help to everything we do over here, guys. So a massive thank you to all of you out there. And we will see you back here tomorrow or Tuesday at some stage. I do have to go over to my old lads and help them out tomorrow with a bit of decorating. Don't know how long I'll be over there, but I'm hoping to get back in time to get a fan show up and running. So hopefully we'll see all you guys back here tomorrow. Until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs!
In Conte we trust. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
The champions!
Bye!